Okay, so something that drew me to your portfolio and something that I think stands out with your portfolio is you have a very diverse set of subjects. So how do you go about sort of selecting subjects for your work, and how much of that is down to the clients that find you and how much of it is down to who you find?
Most of my clients I can't actually put up online.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because a lot of them they want pictures just for their family or for their work. And you say, yeah, can I put you up? No. Yeah, okay, fair enough then. So when I get lists from agencies, they'll send you like a big list of models and you basically cherry pick who you want.
Right.
Or I'll approach actors, or I'll approach someone I've met in the street.
Yep.
Like when you get like a little bald random bloke approaching you in the street asking to shoot, that's me. Yeah. But you have to have cards on you, and your cards have to have pretty pictures on to show that you're not one of the TNA brigade.
Yep.
And yeah, I dislike certain people's looks, and then they just, or you catch someone in a certain light and you think, I can do something with that.
Yeah. So does it come down to like individual person's looks appealing to you, or is there an overall desire to have a varied subject range?
No, it's just I like how some people look.
Right.
I didn't consciously think I'll try and shoot everyone.
Yeah.
No, I just like interesting looking people.
So do you find a huge difference between shooting actors and people that are models, and then people that are in no way used to being in front of a camera?
Actually, that's a really good question, actually. Actors generally can do these kind of real pained expressions and stuff, and you know, and they drop into this role, and they just mooch along, and you just sit there basically. It's like fish in a barrel, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just fantastic as long as you've got the lighting right, as long as you can stop them for a few seconds, you know, when they're whacking Phoenix moments,
Yeah.
when they're rumbling off. Yeah, I love actors. I love good actors rather. And then you get really good models who basically do the same thing. They just inhabit like a personality. There's a guy called Marek, and I just basically watched him just be about 10 different people, and it was just wonderful, you know.
Yeah.
But then you get the lower end of the actors and the lower end of the models, and then you basically just have to stage them.
Yeah.
You know, but good actors and good models, just genius to work with.
Yeah.
Actors bring something different to it, because they did the whole like Jerry Tribbiani smell the fart acting, looking away.
Yeah.
You know, and then you think, I can make the light cut down, drop some shadows, and actors aren't afraid of shadows.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think with my experience, which is fairly limited when it comes to photographing actors, I found that they're more into like an overall mood of an image.
So. Yeah.
Whereas a model is more, not always, but more concerned with just how they come across.
Yeah.
Visually in the photo.
Well, again, it's really funny with actors, because you can put a bag over an actor's head and he'll squeal with delight.
Yeah.
You know, he can cover his hand, he can cover his face with his hand, and he'll love the overall picture.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't know, it's almost like it's an act in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, but models, they kind of need to be seen. And because they are their own brand to a fair degree, and actors are as well. But there's a lot of new models that don't quite get it. That you can have this fantastically striking image, and it might not look like you, and it might not even show all of you, but you're part of the image, and that's in your portfolio.
I think is that down to people not being able to separate themselves from the model that they want to be.
I think so, yeah. And I think also a lot of people are portfolio building, and as you know now, everyone's a model. I mean, my cat's a model.
Yeah.
You know?
We're in the room with one. Chica's a model. So.
And what a fantastic model.
Yeah, she's pretty decent. Her rates are a bit high. But
yeah, well, with those ears, you can charge that much.
Yeah, the ears and the tail, it sells a lot.
And she trots as well.
She does have she's got a very good shoulders back kind of trot going on.
Yeah.
There's a quote by Margot Robbie, who I'm not like particularly a huge fan of, but I just happened to see a quote in passing. Where
she's not too bad on the eyes.
She's not too bad, and I think she's more talented than she gets credit for, but most of the work she's done, I'm not wowed by in terms of the collective work. So I guess I'm a fan of what she's done, but maybe some of the films she's done, like Suicide Squad, are just painfully bad.
I mean, that was a terrible film, but she was the highlight of it.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's easy to be a highlight when you look like that. I wish I could be that kind of highlight.
I don't know. I thought she played that kind of insanity well. You know, just the Harley Quinn insanity, because Harley Quinn was actually created for the TV show. She wasn't in the comics at first,
right?
And so it was quite interesting to see like something created on TV flip back towards the comics and then become this massive mainstay.
Well, the general feedback on that film seems to have been that
it was bad.
The film that was in there was the Joker and her,
yeah,
and they just completely skirted that to go to the crap CGI and try and introduce 700 characters in 5 minutes.
It was off the back of Batman versus Superman. It did so badly at the cinema that they basically went in and retrofitted a load of the actual scenes.
Yeah,
because it's meant to be like a. Did they call it a hard R in America?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
You know, we just like 18.
It's more of a Bristol thing, a hard
yeah. But in England, we're like, yeah, it's 18.
Yeah. Well, there's a quote by Margot Robbie where she says she hates doing photo shoots where they ask her to be herself because she's an actress and she doesn't want to be herself. If she wanted to be herself, she wouldn't become an actress. And I think that's quite an interesting quote because I think at the moment, I'm on this real tear of hating Instagram, not so much for the platform it is, but for the way that it's used. And people are so obsessed with self-image and they're just very false about it that people, they are, how do I put it? They're trying to control their own narrative. And if that includes the way they appear to other people, that's fine, I guess, in your own, it's not really good for you, I don't think, psychologically. No. But if you're a model, it's awful because this is going to sound bad, but I don't actually care how you feel about the way you look. If I've got creative control over a portrait, it's not just always, not everything is about selling you. It's sometimes about selling a mood or selling the feel of the image.
And there's also, I can't control how you see me. Because at some point you're going to see a picture of me doing something and go, oh, they did that. And it would slightly skewer your perception of me or enhance it or whatever else. But yeah, Instagram drives me insane. I've met so many nice people through it, but just the amount of drechery that I see daily of repeated images, lifestyle coaches and everyone trying
the lifestyle coaches
God, and everyone just trying to show what a great time they're having in life. It's like if you were having that great a time, like you wouldn't be taking pictures of it. You wouldn't have someone taking a picture of you. There was the other day some girl was doing yoga on, did you see that? She was doing yoga on the side of like a 3-story building and fell off. I mean, and you think that's all for clicks. That's all that's for.
That's worth it.
I mean, I do Pilates in the morning with my wife and I get out and we do Pilates and stuff. I don't go and try and find a 3-story building and get out on the side of it and do a headstand. No. You know, the whole point of Pilates is to fix me because I got like a dicky old back at times.
Right.
And it's all these people just thinking that they've got to be liked and it's all about celebrity and I just don't get it.
No. So I've watched a sort of, sounds very boring and I'm sure I'm about to get a lot of people to click off of this, but fascinating talk on the links between social media and mental health. And this guy said that if you follow every pattern that's available from when they democratized Facebook and they made it available for everybody, the pattern of mental health issues, especially with young women and young girls, I mean, they said, I think it was like between the ages of 10 and 13, it was like a 300% increase in self-harm with the introduction of Facebook and phones being readily available and it being like a social thing that a kid has to have a phone, which is a very bizarre thing. I don't think a kid should have phones at that age. To me, that's nuts. Yeah. I wouldn't let a 10-year-old answer the door. You can let them have a phone. It seems a bit mad to me. But I think we are headed generally for a bit of a mental health crisis with
it's happening actually.
Yeah, I think what I thought it was going to be, we've already surpassed. And I think we're going to hit a point where you have this constant stream of bullshit news where everything is cranked up to 11, everything's an outrage, everything's offensive, and everything's a disaster. So people think the whole world's going to end. And then on top of that, you've got the way that everyone has to project themselves in a certain way that they don't want to. Most people don't want to be publicly judged. But because of the fear of being publicly judged, they fake everything. I just think we're headed for like quite a severe crisis with people. And when you mix that in with the fact, and it's kind of a bizarre thing, but people now photograph themselves infinitely more than they are photographed. I think there's just a weird control thing. I just think we're in a weird time.
Well, it's all outrage culture.
Yeah.
And I mean, my outrage culture is if my wife has eaten all the bananas in the morning.
Yeah.
Just like, woman.
Something that actually affects you.
Yeah. You know? And she actually goes out and buys them. Pretty much she's got the right to eat them if she wants.
Yeah.
You know? But no, being also, joking aside, the outrage culture is just an identity politics have just got massively it just impacts everything now in your daily life.
Well, everything's politicized.
Yeah.
Everything.
And as you get older, you generally, on the whole, you get a bit more kind of like right wing.
Yeah.
And it's just, and it's easy to say, you're a rabid Tory. I am not a rabid Tory. I've never been a Tory. But you see patterns looping things. And if you look at history just repeats. Yeah. And as you get a bit older, you've seen the same things happening again and again. And when you're trying to say to someone, like, you just need to just calm down, step back, rather than just ruin someone's life on social media by reposting. They've been a bit of a twat at times.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. A lot of this Me Too stuff is just so important.
Yeah.
Weinstein, and so many others. But there is a point where just sometimes you're just doing stuff to be bloody minded just to try and get clicks.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
And it kind of then all the really important stuff falls by the wayside because you've got all this just stuff that isn't really valid, and it's just because you've had a crappy day or whatever.
Yeah. Or because, I mean, I have a personal disdain, to go off on this tangent. I have a real disdain for Meryl Streep because
she flim-flams.
Well, if you go down her history of quotes about certain people, she said about Roman Polanski being a paedophile, it was a real shame because he's a talent, which it's an interesting one considering the stuff that he's done.
And Judi Dench did the same thing about, who's the American that ran the old Vic?
Oh, God, I don't know.
Spacey.
Oh, right, yeah.
Did the same thing about Spacey. And I understand, but her point was trying to separate art from the person.
Yeah.
But when that person plays roles, and they let's face it, a lot of actors, they are kind of like the same in every single role.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit of a misguided quote. However, I understand where she was coming from about art being able to withstand who performed the art. And otherwise, that way you're just basically tearing down history.
Yeah, but that seems to be the current idea.
It does.
If you tear down history, then we're just in the right position to repeat the whole bollocks all over again.
Yeah.
No, I'm not particularly a fan of the idea that I'm not a fan of the exact term social justice because I don't think that the word justice requires any additional help. I think if something requires justice, it requires justice. It doesn't require a certain type of justice. So I think if you have someone who's committed a crime, if they've, molested someone or they've committed some kind of sexual harassment or some kind of sexual assault, that's a matter for police and courts and so on. I don't fully understand. And from what I mean, it's probably a bit of a slippery slope. I can't wait to get pulled out on Twitter over this, but I see a lot of the stuff in Hollywood of, I was riding the wave of the leverage of what had been done to me and what I did to get my certain roles and how I got to my position. But now it's potentially great for me to come out and be a victim as opposed to being someone who was using that kind of system. And I just think if you're gonna participate in a system, you can't then turn around and say you have a problem with the system.
Yeah.
That's my main issue.
No, I entirely agree. There are some very, very, very clear-cut cases where you just go, very young, didn't quite grasp what was going on. By the time you realised you were kind of in that web. Yeah. But there were a lot of older people that have thought, I can use this, and they have done. Doesn't make it any less nice.
No.
But
well, it's funny because we're at the absolute height of Hollywood telling us morally what we should think, but also at the height of Hollywood being such a disgusting, degenerate tar pit of scumbags.
I always see. I always see Hollywood in terms of what are they? The LA Confidential films,
right?
Where just everything is just complete and utterly covered in grime.
Yeah,
and you just go, ugh, and all the stars are just like shagging each other and stuff, and they're all amoral. And
you've got lots of production people that are well, if you do the right things, you can get through the right doors and so on. And
don't.
Unfortunately, it filters down, I think, because I find even in little old England, I find some of the attitudes of like photographers towards new models to be a bit terrifyingly gross.
Just when I'm shooting, if I have to go near a model's hair, I say, look, can I just flick that hair out your face? Normally I have my MUA with me, Vicky.
Yep.
Vicky's
Shout out to Vicky.
Sorry?
Shout out to Vicky.
Shout out to the Vicster.
Yeah.
She's so white. She's like a human reflector. I tried taking pictures of her, but it just went off the map, She managed to shoot a few, but basically it was like, when you get these people that shoot 4 stops under, then drag the shadows up?
Yeah.
That's how I have to shoot her because she's that white, and you go, look, can I just flick your hair? But or if it's anything to do with clothing, I say to Vicky, can you go? But when we get further into the shoot, they've met my wife and they've met my cats and they've met Vicky, and we're all in a safe environment. By that particular point, we've got a little bit of trust, and they know that if I'm gonna have to basically like pad a bit of clothing down on an arm, that it's. I'm not going to go, and be like a pervy old, like sort of TFP photographer who's just doing the whole TNA stuff just so he's got enough for his W bank.
Yeah. The old personal bin on the computer.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. And these people just do my head in because you can see certain other people look at you, certain clients, they're very, very suspicious because they've heard these stories about such photographers.
Yeah.
And there's nothing in my portfolio that suggests
that
I do that. But still, you kind of feel a bit like I'm not one of them.
You almost feel like you have to not overcompensate,
you do,
but
you really do.
You have to almost overassure. Yeah,
you really do, and especially if you've got someone's like bringing in like their young daughter or young son or whatever, and then you have to say to them like, stay in the room. Don't go. Don't stay in the room. Just because you never know someone's mental state. You never know what could be said.
Yeah.
And you're trying to protect yourself the whole time.
I've seen with weddings, I've seen some bizarre behavior by people. And because I do about 60 a year, I've seen a varied range of sort of within classes and within different social circles, and it's made me very hyper aware of not being too trusting of too many people. My wife's currently dealing with like a bullying thing with her work where someone's gone behind what we thought was quite a close friend has gone behind and said that she's done a load of stuff that she's not done. My wife's honestly, not because she's my wife, she genuinely is the nicest person in the world. It annoys me so much because it makes me look even worse as a human being because I'm so close to her. And everyone's like, really, her with him? But she's going through the same thing where she's put her trust in someone and people just take advantage and people are nasty. I actually had a really bizarre circumstance earlier this year. So did a shoot and it was, I hadn't photographed a model for about a month. I'd taken a break completely because I'd had a little run of not really knowing what the next step I wanted to take was, in what direction. And I thought rather than keep trying to shoot through the pain, I would give myself some time to actually think, which is something I'm not particularly great at. So I gave myself the time to think, spent about a month doing nothing other than sort of researching and looking at work. And then I did a couple of test shoots. And one of them, the model, who's completely normal all day, fairly new model, but completely normal all day, we're reviewing images at the end of the last set. And Chica comes running in, tiny little chihuahua, no harm at all. You've seen her, she's lovely. And she puts her front paws on the model's leg. And the model turned around and she went, "Get off me or I'll have to tell you off." And I spun in the chair and I was like, okay, we're going to talk about that. Do not talk to my dog like that.
Chica say like, what?
Yeah, it's so bizarre how people on the flip of such a innocuous thing can change.
Yeah.
People just are very hard to read. And obviously when you're in a people-oriented thing, you've got to...
Honestly, just as you're saying, doing weddings, that's hard work, man, because you've got drunk people there, you've got people that don't want to be there, you've got people that don't like each other, like relatives kind of I would love to be a second at some point, just to get those images where people are looking at each other like they want to kill each other. You know
like
what? The alternate wedding pictures.
Yeah, we do that essentially for our own enjoyment. I'm not going to lie. I have now started talking about this with clients, is that we do shoot some stuff on the day that is entirely for us to look back on and have a bit of a laugh over, because there are times during speeches where you get certain reactions from people that don't realize they're being photographed and they're just disgusted with what's being said, or maybe I think one of my favorite pictures, which is a couple of years old now, which is a picture of a bride just about in her dress, like just finished being done up, ready to go. And it's a picture of, I think it's the mother of the groom, just looking absolutely disgusted with the dress. And obviously you don't deliver that photo. We're not stupid, but for your own to look back on and have a bit of a laugh, it is great. I mean, I remember from my wedding how nuts families can be. So you just have to ride the wave of it when you're there. Drunk people don't bother me as much. I have more of an issue like I had this weekend when I turn up and people who aren't that important start giving me the rules. And it's like, honestly, in the hierarchy, I'm higher than you. You're here because of politeness. I'm here because of necessity.
Yeah, there's a lot of people, honestly, I feel they don't have enough going on in life. Their egos are so shallow, or they're so afraid that they kind of have to kind of assert themselves above you in the pecking order just because they're so broken.
Yeah.
You know, and come across these people daily. You come across them when they have to get on a train in front of you, you know, or they're pushing a supermarket in front of you.
Yeah.
And and it makes sense, obviously, that it appears in your work.
And it's weird because like laws of attraction kind of state the less bothered someone is, the more confident they obviously are, and therefore the more interested other people will be. So to overcompensate by trying to be overly bothered actually is really counterproductive, because I don't look at someone who's trying to be too assertive and think, oh, they're really confident. I think, oh, they're really insecure. I see it as the exact thing they don't want it to be seen as.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Very strange. So you do something that not enough people do, and I certainly do quite a bit of, but I think it's really underappreciated, which is photographing men.
Oh, God, I love shooting men.
Yeah.
No, makeup artist for a start.
Yeah. It reduces the costs.
But there is a lot of it where men, I'm going to sound like a bit of a twat here, are less affected by the camera.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
And you'll say, like, you know, I've got this chicken mask where you stick it on. Yeah, I'll give it a go, you know. And right now, try the GIMP mask, stick it up. You know, and it's just less affected. And it just takes, I mean, I rarely process I rarely do any skin work on any of my pictures. Mm-hmm. And okay, ta-da, have some pictures, you know. It's like I can sometimes get them done like the next day or whatever.
So is that a matter of it being a stylistic choice or a convenience or a moral choice? Or
no, it's sometimes you just get your lighting right.
Yeah.
You know, and you get it right and it comes out at you and you think, oh, score.
Yeah.
You know, less work for me.
Yeah.
If it needs to work, I'll nip into it and like Photoshop, and maybe just if someone's got something really, really dramatically wrong with them, mm-hmm. Like they've got like a third eye in their forehead, you know, I'll go and try and clone that out or whatever. But I shot with an actor the other week. He's in something in the BBC next year. 10 episodes. He's like a detective guy called Romario. And he's got like a scar on his head. And just said, no, he said, you know, anything you can do about that? I said, no, leave it. And then showed me the pictures. He was like, yeah, fine, leave it. You know, it was just, no, it's not a style choice or anything. It's just you get your lighting right. The pictures look good. Mm. Why a major bugbear of mine is where you see how some people shoot. You think, oh, it's just beautiful. And then they ruin it in post.
Yeah. Actually, do you know, it's come up so often with models when I've done the chatting with them before a podcast. Sometimes I think it's come
drive
up.
Them insane.
Yeah, because they'll see the back of the camera and they'll be like, "Oh, this has gone really well. I really like that." And then it comes back and it looks like they spread Angel Delight over their face, and it's not a good look.
No. I also, we shoot tethered. Mm-hmm. And so after, the first thing I do is when they arrive, whoever it is, if they're a bit nervous, I just go, oh, what you got on? Like a t-shirt. Hey, stick in front of that, take a few pictures.
Yeah.
Oh, she's there, it's going to come out. And you can see they stand up just a bit taller, got a bit of confidence, you know. Even you try to say to someone, look at the back of my camera. I mean, I can't see it half the time. What the hell is that, you know? Sorry, leaning back from the mic there.
No, you're good.
and so it's just emboldening people to see how the light's falling on them and everything else. And I want them to see that's how it's kind of going to be, because I don't want to have to spend like 25 hours in Photoshop because I just haven't got the time for it.
Yeah.
So unfortunately that forced me to get my lighting right.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I thought I was giving like one or two images and you're giving them away, that's fine. And then models turn up and say, oh, can I have 50 images? And you want to say, well, 30 of those of the same dress with a slightly different look. And they go, oh, I might need them. And they'll never use them. Yeah. And then I quickly learned that if you've got to process 30 images in Photoshop and you're doing it's taking you 2 hours for each image, you're just on a hide into nothing. So that improved my lighting.
I think you also, I found one of my first jobs of an agency was they were demanding a lot of photos, and it was glamour models. And generally speaking, I don't know if this is everyone else's experience, but with me, glamour models have the worst skin.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely tragic skin.
Yep.
And I found that by the 30th edit, I just didn't care anymore. Like, I could not bring myself to care. So your standard of editing drops hugely because it just wears you down.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're doing the same thing again and again and again. And there's no deviation between the poses and whatever else.
So if I could ask a really broad philosophical question, because I think you've just made me think about it. If you were to take Photoshop away for a year from everyone, do you think people would be inclined to get their photos better in camera, or do you think more people just walk away?
I think they'd use Capture One or something else.
No, there's no editing at all. If they had to go from camera to...
Yeah, so I was being facetious. My brain's scratching for an answer.
I'm removing all hope of hiding from this.
I just think there are a lot of truly god-awful photographers out there. And they cake the skin and they do everything else. But with the same breath, a lot of it is down to bad makeup artists.
Oh, yeah.
You've got a bad makeup artist. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You can't get the light right for that.
No. Oh, no. In fact, well, silhouetting.
Oh, yeah. Basically, turn on your side, just put something behind you, bang, there you go.
There we go.
Just to go back to the MUA thing, just learn your craft. A lot of MUA, some of them they put on reflective, like foundation or whatever, and you've just got this like white face, it's like Al Jolson, like reverse Al Jolson rather, and you just can't do anything with it. But with regards to Photoshop, no, I think a load of people will give up. I think now it's so easy now to just to basically get an app on your phone or whatever else and just smooth your face. And I mean, I don't know about you, but if Martians look at our pictures, God, they're so smooth. How does their skin breathe? There's no texture.
Yeah.
I think a load of photographers would give up. I think a load of people would improve. I don't think enough people actually practice their craft, if I'm honest about it. Like, I bought a mannequin. It was pretty creepy, actually. We called her Mandy Merkin. Right. And every time she's in my studio, it was in my eye, like I walk in and go, when I'd see her every time, it's like someone standing there, But I shot with her and I just worked all my lighting out around this mannequin. You chuck a person in, you suddenly realize there's nothing like it, but you get a rough idea how the light's going to fall and everything else. And I think people should just, if they can, just slow down just a bit and learn their lighting. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And also, like you say, where you can kind of prep and plan a lighting setup, and then with the person it can be slightly different. Yeah. I think in my opinion, a good photographer is someone that can be 90% prepared and 10% chaos theory. Oh, like they are comfortable in the chaos. When I shoot with Vicky, it's chaos, absolute chaos, because she's quite happy just to go. I'm like, what color now? She's like, oh, do that one, and we'll work out a light in there and then, because I know how the light's going to fall on the model now, and I know all my setups and stuff. Yeah. I'm not worried about my soft lighter getting blown down by the wind because it's in a studio. Yep. But yeah, it's absolute chaos now. Whereas before, everything was measured, and I'd go, okay, you're 3 feet from there, you're there. Now I'm just like, chuck it in. I'll look at the monitor. Oh, it's too dark. Bring it forwards. And you do. It is chaos. But once you know your lighting, and it bugs me when people go in these forums looking for advice and people give them terrible advice.
Yeah.
And when you chime in, you just get shouted down.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so it appealed to populace and like who's the most popular.
Yeah, and it
like
is.
most arguments or most conversations now, it's just who's the loudest.
Yeah, yeah. I don't get me wrong, I can shout because I'm South London.
Yeah.
Just like everyone else, but just there comes a point where you're shouting into the wind, and so you just kind of read. I lurk a lot on Facebook, Instagram, forums and stuff. You know, because you've got downtime on your phone, you're flicking through, and you see some of the advice people say, and a few people I'll message them and just saying like, don't listen to that because you know they're going to get sent down a black hole.
Yeah.
You know, and occasionally they'll say thank you or whatever. But
I used to always have this thing. So I had this phrase, but because I didn't want it to be taken as mine, I always just say my dad always said. My dad's never said this, so I don't know why I did that. But let's say
which one's removed, didn't I? I didn't say it.
Yeah, I put it on someone else, but I've always said that you can lead a horse to water, but you just can't drown the bastard. And I think with a lot of people that's the case, is that you could give them the most obvious solution to their problems, but because it's not the most popular solution, they'll avoid it. And going back to the makeup artist thing, something that I found, I don't know if this has ever been a thing for you, especially when I was new-ish to working with makeup artists, was I just wanted them to know their stuff. I don't know about being a makeup artist to the extent where I can have an in-depth conversation about brushes and whatnot. But I want to be able to use general language and then go in the direction, like you use a mood board and you say, okay, I'm looking for more of a natural thing. I'm looking for more of an earthy tone or whatever. And then they can just run with it. It used to drive me absolutely mad.
Yeah,
where I would say, I'm looking for such a thing. Okay, so what palette are we going? I don't know. Like that's what you're here for. Like if I have a plumber come round because the bath's leaking and I'm like, I need the bath to stop leaking. Like, yeah, but what kind of piping should I be? I don't know. That's where you step in. I just don't want water on the floor. You know, I don't want this to look like a clown. Can you not make this look like a clown and then we'll be good? To me, that feels like it should be straightforward.
Yeah, the Biffo the Clown makeup is always great.
Yeah,
I love that. I love that in Photoshop, especially when they don't take off the model's makeup when they model, because models should turn up without makeup, as we know, or just moisturizer. It's all fine.
Yeah.
But when the models turn up with makeup and then the MUA slavers it on top,
yeah,
all hope just leaves the room, and you think, oh, God.
Icing that icing.
Yeah, and it's just awful. When it's like a decent talking to Vicky, a decent makeup artist, she knows color theory. And she goes, okay, right, you're on she says, your lights are balanced at this light. And she knows what she's doing. And when she first said that, I was like, yes, you are the one. I like you.
Yeah.
And she's got a makeup light that's like 500, and it's just fantastic. And then you see a makeup artist doing someone's makeup under my shitty studio sodium lights. And you just know you're going to get a green palette, or they're going to come out yellow or something. And then someone's going to go, well, is that a style choice by you in processing? I'm just like, oh, dude, I tried to correct it,
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of the sort of red flags for me was when they would start without a conversation about what you wanted.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so you do one thing, don't you? Like, we're going to get the one makeup thing that you do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Or they just, because we always start light and then we kind of build up. And some people have got I think they're called hooded eyelids, and basically, surprised me as well. When they go, I want smoky eyes, and you go your eye shape doesn't suit that.
Yeah.
Or they'll say they want, because Vicky gave me a book on makeup, and I was on holiday in the Lake District, sitting there reading this book on makeup, and see my father-in-law look at me all right.
It's a midlife crisis.
It's happening.
So I was going to say, every time I do anything now, I'm lucky. I hit 31 this year. Every time I do anything that's even remotely weird or people are judging me for, I'm calling it a midlife crisis. I'm so pleased to have reached this point, because now I've got an out for every stupid bit of behaviour that I have.
I think I remember 31. That was God, I'm 51 this year.
I can't remember 29, if that makes you feel any better. So.
I remember most of it, actually. It kind of all just kind of bleeds in, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when you're a guy after 25, it's just you're 25 and then you're just midlife.
Yeah, about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all just kind of bombs along. All that happens is everything gets a bit hairier, everything aches a bit more.
Oh yeah. And bruise takes twice as long to go down.
Yeah, and you actually, if you've got half a brain, you realize no one of any young age is attracted to you.
Yeah.
And you realize you have become that person who is safe because you're older.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It actually removes the. I remember Damien Lovegrove talking about. He said that. Now this, I'm going to butcher this because I'm going to make him sound like a dick. I'm not trying to.
I bought his gels actually.
Oh,
pack of gels. Yeah,
that's saved me from the fact that I'm probably going to make him sound like a dick. But he said something about he had more success working with models as he got older because of removing yourself from feeling like you were too close to their age and there being, I don't know, like there being an interpersonal thing because you're at the same age level. And I can kind of see it.
No, I can get that because obviously
I've really tried not to butcher that really hard.
Yeah, no, I can see it.
Like you've removed yourself from the competition kind of thing.
Yeah. You've stepped back and gone over to you, young men.
Yes, but at the same time, I've definitely worked with enough photographers over the years that think that they're still well within the competition. Someone's got to sit down and have a word with them.
It just does my god. It also just, if you want to be professional, if you just don't start putting it about in whatever you can.
Yeah.
Because you're just going to get a reputation.
Yep.
Yeah,
and it's like a wildfire. Everyone will hear it within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it always reminds me of the, I've heard there's a couple of interesting things that went about me. I remember my wife also does photography and she was being told once about, she was photographing a model and the model said, "Oh, do you know, there's another photographer in this area called Kris," and went off on this like wild tangent story about stuff that I'd been up to with this one person in particular. Problem being, this one person in particular I'd worked with once, Jamila was there because she also worked with this person. So when Jamila then said, "Yeah, that's my husband," they were like, "Oh, well, I'm not saying it's true. It's just something I heard." It's like, no, but you're happy to kind of try and
perpetuate it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're happy to
gossip.
throw petrol on that fire. Yeah. And one of my favorite ones is, for a little while, I had the reputation with a couple of people, and I know why, of being like insanely aggressive. I get very angry on shoots and I apparently would shout and scream and throw stuff. And I always thought it was really funny because honestly, if I got to the point on any shoot where I was that annoyed, I just tell them to piss off.
Yeah. Or
I just got much better things to do than actually have an argument about it.
Just need 10 minutes. Also throwing stuff about. You know when people throw their gear about?
Yeah.
I remember I was about 15, 16. I chucked something and it was something that was obviously quite expensive. It broke. I was like, well, that wasn't very smart. I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
There's no way on God's green earth I'll be chucking stuff about.
No. And it's funny. It's just you almost hear about yourself as if you're another person. I find that all quite funny.
That would just do my head in.
So I don't often talk about photography gear in day-to-day life because most of the time when you have those conversations, it's kind of being forced on you. So I'm going to do that and force it on you now.
That's all right. That's all right. Yeah.
Like, so I just for an example, not for the sake of just bringing this up, but I've
it's a photography podcast, so
it is. I should probably stick to photography. Yeah. So talk about Hollywood and stuff. But so I've recently bought the Fuji X-T3
mirrorless.
Yeah.
I know nothing about those. When they say mirrorless, I just go, okay.
It's less one mirror is all that's really, it's an overblown concept in what it actually does.
It's meant to be nice though.
But I have three systems on the go.
Is it the one with the face tracking, which is brilliant in low light and stuff?
Yes. Well, we have, so my main setup is 5D Mark IV. And then
is that the high ISO one?
Oh yeah.
One of them's an absolute like git with high ISO in it. Because don't they all have like different failings?
Oh yeah, every camera has a.
Oh no, but the Mark III's, you have like the third one, then the fourth one, and
well, when you had the 5D Mark II was the one that was known for the fact that they put video in. And that was like revolutionary for what it was. It's a very good camera. It has a very cool sounding shutter, which is something that no one cares about.
I heard that on another podcast. That cracked me up. And I was thinking, I must try and listen to that shutter.
Yeah, I should do a TV series of the best sounding shutters because it's.
Well, the Nikon ones sound like suckers.
Yeah, the worst sounding at the moment for me are like we've got the Sony A7R III, and that one, when you take a picture of it, it sounds like a moth's fart. It's not particularly impressive at all. I don't feel like when I use it, I feel like I'm even taking a photo. It feels like it's a bit apologetic about the fact that it's done it. Great camera.
I felt about like the D800 because I first clicked it down and went, oh.
Yeah.
I'm
it's where they're trying to cushion it so much. Yeah. It's like, I don't care if I have a little bit of
I used to like it actually because it said, man's camera.
Yeah.
Thud.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
No, you're good. So so I run 3 systems essentially. So I'm on Canon. My wife, and to an extent me, has Sony as well. And then I just purchased the Fujis. Now I had a Fuji a couple of years ago for about a month. Hated the experience, got rid of it. And I've done some soul searching since and worked out that the fact that I was in San Francisco, which I honestly believe is the gateway to hell. And
this time of year it is. It's the worst time of year.
I wouldn't want to go there at any time of year ever again.
October's nice.
I'd rather go to Basra mid-war.
What was the problem? Just busy and hot?
It was hot. I had food poisoning. The hotel tried to rip us off. A cab driver tried to rip us off. Now, I can speak a bit of Arabic, and he was saying stuff in Arabic that I wasn't particularly happy about. So I almost had a fight with him. And on top of everything else, we saw like people shooting up heroin in the doorway to a Subway at 10 in the morning. You couldn't really leave the hotel without being approached.
Where were you? Were you in Mission by any chance?
We were literally in Union Square. Like, we were bang in the middle of the touristy bit.
Jeez.
In the most expensive hotel that I could afford.
Wow.
Yeah, it was nothing about it impressed me. And on the last night, after everything else that had gone on, this is such a random tangent, but middle of the night, I was exhausted from everything that had gone on. And there's an adjoining door that I didn't know was there between us and the people next door, which I thought was madness considering the cost of this hotel. And there was this huge thud against the door. And I thought, someone's trying to get in. This is where I die. I'm going to have to like get Jamila up and throw her out the other door, and I'll have to be the one that dies so she can get away. I had all these scenarios playing in my head, and it just turned out the people next door were being quite amorous with each other. So I had to listen to that for about half an hour, and I was just like, I just want to get out of this city so badly. I hate it. I hate everything.
My damn earphones.
So so I had the Fuji back then, and I've since worked out that I had a problem with the experience, not the camera, and I associated the camera with the experience.
Yeah.
And I just, as my office attests to, I just like cameras. I like the way, I think every camera you use makes you a different photographer in the way that you interact with it. The harder they are to use, you maybe produce different work from the ones that are really easy to use. And I definitely think we are going down the wrong route with cameras of trying to make them idiot proof. I don't think we should be making cameras completely idiot proof, which is what Mirrorless does.
Yeah, I've also with mirrorless because I keep saying it makes everything lighter. Then you have these big ass lenses, and you go,
Yeah, it's ergonomically it's stupid. I've been arguing this since about 2014. The Fuji argument for a long time was so Fuji paid a lot of money, I believe, to a photographer called Zach Arias, who's relatively well known on the internet.
Yeah, well, he's Captain Strobe, isn't he? He's really good with
master of the one light, and he seems like a cool enough guy.
Yeah, he does.
But I just wish people were transparent. That's all I ask. I wish people would just be honest with what their motivations are and where they're coming from. And he does this video, you can still find it on YouTube, where he talks about how sensor size doesn't matter. And if you think sensor size matters, then you probably have a small penis, essentially, is the inference that...
God, was he looking when I said that?
So he has this whole video where he's like smacking a bit of paper with a stick and being hilariously patronizing to anyone that wants a full frame camera or whatever, because Fuji can do everything that all the other cameras can do on a crop sensor, and you get a smaller camera so you can take all of this other stuff. And then Fuji brought out the medium format mirrorless.
I know, I saw that, yeah.
And then all of a sudden they were like, well, now we have this great camera because it's got a bigger sensor. And it's like, hold the fucking phone. You've just finished telling me my dick is small because I use a full frame. And now you're telling me that medium format is a good way to go. Does the sensor size matter or not? That's all I need here. So that side of things annoys me. But yeah, I just think with my main issue at the moment is that I just think it's too easy.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, I think mirrorless makes photography too easy, and ergonomically it's stupid. Like you say, you've got these huge lenses on a completely unbalanced body that has terrible battery life, and
Batteries are killing. Just flipping back to what you were saying about people being transparent. Scott Kelby flipped from Nikon, I think, to Canon, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And he, actually, I've got a lot of time for Scott Kelby.
Okay.
Because basically his books were like, hey, you're an idiot. Have this book.
Yeah.
He didn't, obviously, he just wasn't saying that. And he would just go, right, okay, right, just set it to this, take this picture, you'll get this. And I was like, okay. Thank you, Mr. Kelby. You know, but he come out and did say, it's a business decision, we're going to Canon.
Yeah.
And I just felt,
I respect that so much more.
Absolutely respect that, because it was him and these UK guys. I can't remember the UK guys' names. There's
and there's like Glenn Jewis. There you go.
And the Dutch dude as well.
Right. Yeah, I know the Dutch dude. Yeah. I know him from one video talking about dance photography.
I actually went to a seminar where he was like talking there, and he was really funny actually.
Yeah.
But it was, I kept thinking, oh, it's gold member, isn't it? Do you know? But
what side of the reflector does he like?
It was
gold.
It was like, stop in the pancake, and I was like, oh, but he was really funny and he was really cool actually. Frank de Hoof.
That's it. Yeah,
he was a really funny. He's huge as well.
Yes. Oh God, yeah.
I had to look up. I crane my neck.
Yeah,
you know?
he's a big lad, isn't he?
Yeah, you stick him on a stage as well, and I just did my neck in.
Well, I almost got thrown out of the 2016 photography show in Birmingham for making fun of Scott Kelby. So he was walking around doing the presenting, and I very quickly learned when I got to the photography show that I'm maybe not someone that should spend much time at photography shows, because I just found the whole thing a bit much.
Oh, they're ludicrous.
And one of the things I flipped on the last night, I lost my shit completely, because we were in the hotel next door, which I think is the Hilton, and we're having dinner, and everyone there's from the photography show, and every single person's brought their camera down to dinner. And I flipped because it's just like, we get it. You're a photographer. You don't have to have your camera on you all the time just to tell people you're a photographer. If you were into deep sea diving, you wouldn't go to dinner with an oxygen tank on. Just let it go. We get it. And I honestly, I think I had a mental breakdown for about 10 minutes.
So why how do you need to get kicked out?
Right. So he's walking around with a little camera crew for either the grid or for the fact that I think he might have been hosting the whatever got put online from the photography show. So he's walking around doing a presenting with his camera crew, and I turned around, didn't know he had a camera crew next to him, and I was all of about 5 foot away. He just kind of appeared behind me. I think I was probably having a meltdown about something, and I turned around and I said out loud, without even thinking, Scott Kelby, the man, the myth, the salesman. And he got really fucking annoyed that I made that comment.
Actually, I think that's probably quite an accurate summary.
Yeah, I think if me and him were to probably have a daiquiri and have a chat about it, he would probably agree where I was coming from with. But I wasn't even thinking when I said it. But yeah, they quickly moved the camera crew on, and I was being eyed up for a little bit by the people walking around with him, and I was like, am I going to get thrown out? Because I haven't got a car. I came here with someone,
and I've left my camera next to my food.
Yeah. How are people going to know I'm a photographer? I'm not posting on Instagram that I'm at the photography show.
Actually, that's something that really bothers me, is photographers taking their camera everywhere. You've just got to be in a moment occasionally.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, I took my daughter to a gig years ago. Couldn't see the actual stage because every bugger had a phone up videoing it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever tried to watch one of those videos back. We go just to get yeah. And you can't hear anything. Actually, as it happens, it was actually lost profits.
Oh right, Jesus!
Exactly. So
yeah, we saw them twice.
So I'm kind of scrubbing it from my head.
Yeah. No one heard that. It's fine. No, I remember seeing Lost Profits, and
obviously it was before it all happened.
Yeah, you don't go afterwards. No, I remember going to see Lost Profits. First time we saw him was at Hammersmith Palais.
Yes, so we were.
Oh, so we probably already met. Yeah. And the second time was at Wembley, and now this is this is not needing to be on this podcast, but why not? We almost had to report the people next to us because the guy was way too old for the girl that he was being inappropriate with.
Oh no.
And now when you consider the context of Lost Profits, weird memory.
He knew his stuff.
Back to photography very quickly before we go down on the 1970s BBC route here.
Yeah, no one likes a Jimmy.
No.
Okay, like my youngest is 17, and you say the word Jimmy Savile, he's like, oh no. It's like, you've got no idea. As a kid, we knew he was a freak, and you're thinking, why are the adults not triggering this?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on? Yeah. You know, there's loads of conspiracy podcasts. I love them.
Yeah.
And one's about Jimmy Savile. One wasn't actually conspiracy. Basically broke down everything that he did, and he got into positions of power. You know, and you think, how?
Well, he was in with the Royals, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Like in with the Royals.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
But he was like in, was it Broadmoor Strangeways? I can't remember. But basically, at one point, he had a caravan at this girls' school, just so that I know exactly. And you're thinking, oh, gee, and yeah. Anyway, but let's get off this 70s Jimmy tip. As you correctly said, and I've just dragged us back to it.
No, you're all good.
Gear,
all right, so
photography gear.
Yeah. So what are you shooting at the moment? What's your
I've
stuff?
got a Nikon D850 and a Nikon D810.
Yeah.
And the D800 range. The D800, horrible skin tones. Everything was red.
Right.
Yeah. Awful in low light. D810, skin tones, much better. Not bad in low light.
Was that the point of the D810 then? Was it to improve on that side of things, do you think?
Well, I make some money for Nikon.
Yeah. Well, that never hurts. That never hurts at all.
It is actually a better camera. And the 850, I was very reticent to buy, and I was 50 last year. I said to my wife, honey, for my birthday, can I have a camera?
Yeah.
She was like, oh, just whatever, you know. She's lovely. She doesn't sound anything like that. She's like, of course, darling. Yes, yeah. You know. So I was going to get an 850 anyway. And then sort of as it was my 50th, she bought me an 850. And I wanted to get rid of the 800 as well because it was just, it's just lovely. Just really good in low light. Skin tones are beautiful. Just a fantastic camera. I mean, I don't get my cameras from Nikon. I have to buy the damn things.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm not like a Nikon shit. And also, I don't subscribe to any one company because they will all, at the drop of a hat, do you over.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know, I no allegiance to anything, and all my gear are just tools. They really are. But yeah, the D850. It's a nice little. There's a place in my heart that I think I like you. You're my favorite camera.
Yeah.
You know, until something better comes out, then I cast it aside.
So in terms of lenses, then what's your sort of go-tos?
I you know what it's like. It just fluctuates. For 1 week you've got the 200, and you're just like, it's the best thing ever. Look at this.
Is this the 2.8 or the?
Yeah, sorry, 2.8.
Because I know they've got an amazing f2, right? Nikon's.
Yeah. So I forget. So I'm forgetting we were on a podcast. It's a photography one. So people are going to go, what? Yeah. Right. So the f2.8, 70 to 200 mil.
Right.
Lovely lens. And then the next week I'll be like, oh no, they're 24, you know, to 70, best lens ever, and that's the f2.8. And then I'll do something else, and I've got like a prime 85 mil.
Yeah.
Whatever takes my fancy, really.
Right.
And you know what it's like, just you get bored of seeing the same like compression on images, and you'll try something different, and then it's all very, very circular. I
think it's the chaos theory. I sort of point out quite a lot with when I do tutorials or tuitions or anything like that, is that it's good. I'm a big fan of consistency. I'm a big fan of when a photographer has a style. I'm a big fan of when there's a very clear direction, but also every so often you have to throw a turd in the hamper just to see what it does to your method and see what it does to the result, and it keeps you from going nuts. Yeah,
I swap out lenses a lot when I'm shooting just to see what it does, you know, and because my lighting setups, I can achieve them really fast.
Yeah.
I basically I'm lobbing lenses off and tripping over them and stuff. And I mean, I had to get my 24 to 70 repaired because I think I kicked it across the studio floor. When I was
you don't do that. They're not kick proof.
No.
Not always.
No, I can't remember. Who did it get fixed by? Somewhere up London. Really good, actually.
Yeah. Fixation.
Yes. Fixation. Yeah.
I feel like I know stuff about photography now. I realised that that was cool. That's good.
Yeah, because I said, like, what do I get fixed? And my friend Nick said, no, fixation. Someone else said fixation. And I thought, Nick's got a lot of gear. Actually, Nick's got a lot of gear.
Yeah.
And he obviously, he was like, when he said fixation, I thought I'd best listen to him. Yeah, no, they were really cool. Like, curried it up there, curried it back.
Yeah. I have the tendency to, I believe that gear has a life. And sometimes when you break it, I kind of just sort of say, okay, that one's done.
Yeah,
I might look at the next one, because when I tend to break stuff, I tend to break it. And then my one run-in with Fixation, I've never had any personal issues with them. Was someone I knew had a problem with a 5D Mark III, in that basically every other photo, and it was literally in focus, out of focus, in focus, out of focus. And for the longest time, I just wrote it off that he was a bit crap focusing what he was doing.
Was it back focus issue?
Yeah, but it would be like sharp as anything, Vaseline, sharp as anything, Vaseline. And I couldn't work out what the problem was. And he said, I'll take you to Fixation. They kept it for like 2.5, 3 weeks. There's no contact at all with what was going on with it. He went to pick it up, and they basically hadn't even looked at it. So they was like, well, if you stick around, we'll look at it now. So they were quickly trying to get the thing, and they said there's no problem with the camera. So he got the camera back. Next shoot he did, he had exactly the same problem. So I went on Let Internet for 30 seconds, went on to one of the more geeky ends, not the model end, but the geeky end of photography. And someone said that it's a common fault, and that if you do a hard reset, it can fix the problem. So take all the batteries out, hold down the power button for 30 seconds, put it all back in. And it definitely reduced the amount of times you would get something soft from it.
Oh,
so it was like,
infuriate me though.
Yeah, oh yeah, because it was always on the one that you wanted that there was the problem, which I guess is that's just.
Then again, if it's all smudged, it looks like it was the one you wanted, but it might not have been.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, there could have been a number of problems hiding under the smudge. And as far as your lighting setups and the way that you kind of conduct your studio stuff, do you have like go-to sets that you work through, like in terms of lighting setups, or is it sometimes haphazard?
I start off in my head. I've got a book on me. I always have a book on me for lighting ideas that I must have taken out of my bag once.
Yeah,
the whole time I've been carrying it. That's one spark of inspiration. I've never used that lighting setup, but I have lighting setups, and I always have it in my head. I have like I set up a run. Right, do this first, do that second. Just the minute you start shooting, goes out the window.
Yep.
Because you kind of look at the model, and the outfit they've got on, you suddenly realise that the backdrop you thought wouldn't work.
Yep.
And you just got to be a bit flexible, and you just basically everything goes out the window. And Vicky and I sort of, Vicky, what do you reckon? She'll say that colour, and I go, yeah, how about this, that, and the other. And if I get it wrong, she'll say, told you. She loves doing that.
She's there to remind you of your fault.
She does. I mean, I look in the mirror. Oh, there's a fault. Yeah, No, I think I've done maybe one or two like shoots where I've actually followed the plan.
Yeah.
Because everything kind of worked. But sometimes when people send you pictures of their clothing, you go, oh, we'll work it out with the clothing,
Yeah.
And so you got the pictures on your phone, you look at them, that's green. And then you realise they've shot it in like their bedroom with the worst lights ever. And then you suddenly go, hang on a minute, that's pink.
It's like that.
This picture's blue here.
It's like that meme with the dress. Is it blue? Is it blue or is it white? Yeah.
And so when a lot of people bring outfits and stuff, or that we've arranged the backgrounds for Vicky and I, it just doesn't work because it's just been shot badly. And then you get other people that just turn up with like a suitcase full of outfits, and then I just cannot contain my excitement when I go, and then my brain's going, no, that colour. So. To answer your question, no, nothing ever goes to plan.
No, I remember for a couple of years, like studio work's always been my downfall because I get...
Come up to mine, darling, you'll love it.
Well, I just find myself developing horrendous attention deficit disorder in the studio because I stand here and then they go there and we shoot, and I want to kind of wander off and find stuff. And what I did for a couple of years, or I tried really hard to do, was have like a plan for when I did studio workshops. So it's like, it'll be this lighting setup, this lighting setup, this lighting setup, lunch, this lighting, and try and do it that way. And every single one that I tried to do that, as soon as we went to start, someone would go, can we do something like this? Oh, I saw this photo. Can we try and do that? And I was like, I was so desperate to not let people down or forget something. I was like, okay, I'll put that in now. And then the whole plan just went to shit, and I had to try and find my way back. I remember one workshop getting to lunch, and I was like, I've run out of lighting setups. I don't know anything about photography. I don't know anything. Having a complete meltdown. And then Jamila was like, just look at your website. So I went on my website. I was like, I do like 8 other things. What is wrong with me? Why do I feel like I don't know what I'm doing?
It's imposter syndrome.
Right.
Everyone has imposter syndrome. So also your mind goes blank occasionally.
Yeah.
So
occasionally, frequently, I'd prefer you to say. For me, it's definitely frequently.
There's not a lot going through mine. So
right. You know. I find it's a self-defense mechanism. Sometimes when people are talking to me, I just go blank, and then I'm not absorbing or pushing out any ideas.
Yeah. No, I wrote all mine down on my lighting setups, and so if ever I hit that spot, I can just pick up that book. Rarely do I know what that book is because I've dragged it around the house with me and left it in various places. There'll be a cat sleeping on it somewhere or something, you know. Yeah. But no, I know what you say. I don't want to do workshops because people.
Yeah.
I really like people. I don't like photographer people on the whole when they're learning because it's like recalcitrant children.
Right.
You go like, okay, right, this light does this. And like you said, they'll go, yeah. I want to do this picture, and you look at it, and they've given you a picture by any Leibovitz or something of like someone from Brave, and they're on a horse.
Yeah,
and you go, yeah, and you look at their camera, and then they go, yeah, I've got a strobe indoors. I've got like was it a Nikon 910 strobe? That will do it, wouldn't it? And you're just like, oh God, you know, and yeah, I'd have to have all these printouts to give them beforehand just to say, right, look at this, is what this does. No one will read it.
No.
And so you just come out of it feeling frustrated. But yeah, people like Kelby and that lot, you know, him.
Yeah, the salesman.
Yeah. It's not done too badly, have it, is he?
No, but the last podcast I did, I went off on one apparently a little bit too much about Manny Ortiz. So I guess this one's Scott Kelby. Manny Ortiz is a YouTube photographer.
I was going to say, I don't know.
Photographer, I say in the loosest terms. He's a Sony ambassador who pretends he's not a Sony ambassador like they all do. And he just takes pictures of his hot wife and over edits, and people will say that something's great because it's in focus and it's something that they want to shag.
Yeah.
That's basically what now qualifies as a good photo is, would you shag it and is it in focus, and then that's fine.
Yeah, it's like
not to sound too bleak or anything.
No, it's quite fun. We have loads of like female models in the house, and this is relevant. This is relevant to the word shag.
Yes.
And my youngest is a 17-year-old boy, and you think, yes, but he's not. My youngest is gay.
Right.
And so you got all these like girls occasionally, they'll be like in skimpy outfits or whatever. And my youngest is like, eh.
Yeah.
Like, a bloke takes his top off and he's ugh. You can almost hear his hormones creaking, you know?
Right.
Yeah, it's just quite funny. But
is he interested in photography?
No.
Right.
Well, no, he's a cosplayer.
Oh, okay. I've only recently learned what this is.
If I was that age now, actually, I back when I was a kid, it wasn't obviously about if you dressed up like Spider-Man as a kid, you'd have got the snot beaten out of you.
Yeah.
You know, you do it now and you're cool.
Yeah.
And my brain goes, oh, I don't get this, but yeah, it's cool that that you've got the opportunity to.
But you remember growing up where there was stuff that you were being told you could never do when your parents were kids. And life is just funny, right? There's going to be stuff that's going to... What always scares me with the world is that humans just get progressively weirder and stupider and more erratic.
Yeah, it's all Darwin.
And I'm looking at stuff that's happening now and I'm like, okay, well, I thought 10 years ago was nuts and now we're here. Where are we going to be in 20 years? Like,
I know. Well, it's like with my youngest doing his spider, because he's got quite a svelte frame.
Right.
So he wears Spider-Man outfit. Yeah. And the outfit costs something like 120 quid, 130 quid.
Jesus Christ.
I know. But to his credit, he earned all the money himself.
Oh, yeah. If that's what you're into.
Yeah. But you can get these masks and then you have to buy like a plastic bit to have the mask sit properly on your face.
Yeah.
For the mask to go over and stuff. And some of these outfits are so intricate and stuff, you know. And actually, I'm just going to delve a bit into geek culture just for a couple of minutes.
Honestly, rock on.
You get all these girls in these cosplay outfits, and a lot of them don't read the comics. A lot of them do read the comics.
Yep.
And the geek men, oh my God, they're like memories. They get so bent out of shape. Like, oh, she's not into this. Right? It's just all tits and ass. It's like, just because that's what they do. They want to dress up. It's absolutely fine.
They go where it's popular, and that's popular.
There's a load of them. They get paid to go in all the cons.
Right.
They get like a fee for turning up. They get all their airfare paid for. You know what?
It's hard life, right?
If someone offered me that, I'd be like, yep, guess what I'm doing. But a lot of them, their outfits, they're really clever, you know?
Yeah.
And they're really good. I think my youngest kind of He kind of sees that and he likes it. And that's just his jam. And
yeah.
Like when my parents must have looked at me as a kid thinking, that weird little freak, because I had like long hair and I was into metal and I did BMX and everything else. And every parent, I think it's good to look at your child and think, I don't know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah.
Just because it means things have changed and they're not like boring little shits.
Yeah.
Like he won't let me meet any of his friends.
Well,
I think I'll be like, you
wouldn't recognize them. They're all wearing masks.
Yeah, exactly. Iron Man over there.
It's funny. I did a wedding about 5 weeks ago.
Cosplay one?
It almost was. So they had, it was imagine a completely regular, very nice wedding day, but then there was just 4 Star Wars characters there.
Okay.
Just there. Now, one thing I do know, I'm not a Star Wars fan personally. It's not for me. I'm a big horror fan, if that's of any.
Yeah, so my wife.
I get the piss ripped out of me constantly for horror, so it's fine. Star Wars to me is the same film 7 times.
The Force Awakens certainly was Star Wars again. Sorry, Star Wars fan here.
Sorry. Okay, that's right. Well, you're gonna hate me for this.
Probably not.
Okay, that's all right then. So the groom was a big Star Wars fan, like huge Star Wars fan. That's hence why the bride had booked these guys to come in with very, very expensive, very good costumes. I will say it was excellently done. Darth Vader stayed in character, which I could not be bothered with. So when we're having a conversation away from the wedding and he stayed in character, I was just like, all right, knock it off, mate. I know your name's Charlie. Like, let's just get to the crux of things here. I just want to get my job done. You want to get yours done. But the best part was, and it's one of my favorite hobbies in the world, is when someone takes something really seriously to just ruin it for them. And so the groom doesn't like you not understanding Star Wars. Now, I understand Star Wars. I've seen at least 4 of them. That's a bit
terminal intensity for me.
Right. And so I called Darth Vader, I called Spock at one point, and you could see the groom getting agitated. And I'm
surprised he found a wife.
He was a very good-looking guy, to be fair to him.
It doesn't matter at that point, does
it? When they wanted a group photo of all the guys with the stormtroopers and Darth Vader, I did the Vulcan hand symbol thing. And honestly, you could see the vein coming out of his head. And I said to him about halfway through the day, I said to him, I didn't know you were a Trekkie and things all day. And about halfway through the meal, he come out to check on us. And I said to him, I know you're a bit annoyed with me, but you do realize I know what I'm doing. Like, I know I'm winding you up. I don't actually think it's Star Trek. And he was like, do you know I didn't? You've honestly pissed me off all day about, like, not in a serious way, but he was like, I couldn't believe someone knows that little about Star Wars. I was like, everyone kind of knows a bit about Star Wars. And it's just so funny to take when people take that culture so seriously and kind of just, play with it a little bit.
Well, they're almost like a weird rivalry. It's so funny. As a kid, you kind of had these rivalries between Star Wars or Star Trek. And you get older, you think, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like the new Star Treks. Sorry, I'm a bit of a geek here.
Yeah.
Star Trek Discovery, just the program's really good fun.
Right.
And the new Star Wars.
Side note, do you know about the plan for the new Star Trek film, supposedly?
New Star Trek.
Tarantino.
Oh, that's been kicked around. Karl Urban, who played Bones, he's been talking about it and stuff. And
I saw Simon Pegg wasn't particularly impressed. He said something like, we don't want Pulp Fiction in space, and now Tarantino's had to go back. That sounds like that's going to be a right old laugh, that production.
You don't actually know whether or not it's all been choreographed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the only thing I'd say is with Tarantino, from what I've seen of him and the very little I know, I don't think he's the kind of person, even if you gave him a script, he'd want to stick to it for that. He would, if something annoyed him, even if it was meant to annoy him in character, I think he would still be annoyed by it. I think
he's an auteur, darling, an auteur.
He's very volatile. I'm a big fan of Tarantino, but he has that kind of...
Well, he's been allowed to be, isn't he? If you keep padding up someone's ego and saying, you're fantastic, darling, and after a while, you're going to kind of believe it. Because some woman basically said that... right or wrongly, a reporter in one of his press junkets that Margot Robbie's character, played Sharon Tate, didn't have enough to say. And the paper said, I reject your hypothesis. It's like, okay, that's fair enough. Yeah. What would you say to that apart from, all right?
It's a lot more polite just saying fuck off, I guess.
Yeah, but then I read actually his ideals behind it, and I kind of got, because he basically wanted to show her not as just someone who got murdered, but basically her life before.
Yeah.
And with regards to being an actor, he said you don't really need to have lines. You can just kind of show her almost like a slice of her life.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah, I can kind of see where he's going. And if you just said that in the junket, you'd come across as less of a dick.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like,
I think he probably is playing a little bit of a game with it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the old interview where he is being asked about violence in cinema and how it affects real world violence and stuff. And he has a really good point to make, but the obscenities he goes through to get to the point, it's like, it's counterproductive. God, it's entertaining, but it's counterproductive to what you're trying to say in the end.
oh yeah, exactly. But also there's an article on The Guardian. Don't start me on The Guardian.
Yeah.
I don't. But it was basically about woke politics, and it's
Right.
basically about woke politics, and they were saying, how misogynistic he is and his characters and everything else, and or basically it's all about like revenge.
Right.
Someone gets wronged, they go back, and there's a fair degree, but it's film, and these nasty things actually a lot of times do happen in lives.
Yeah.
And there's a term in geekdom where if a woman gets killed, they call it she gets fridged.
Right.
And they fridged the female lead in Deadpool 2. Right at the very start, they killed her.
Yeah.
Obviously, at the end of it, he brings her back.
Yeah.
But there is, and so a lot of these old sort of tropes you can't kind of use anymore. So screenwriters are having to get a lot cleverer about how they actually do things and who they kill and stuff. And soon all it'll be is like their gay lovers are getting killed.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, oh, no, he's been fridged. And it'll become cyclical. Oh my God, sorry, I'm rambling along, aren't I?
No, you're all good. I'm enjoying it. It's all good.
Sorry.
I actually think that like this constant need for what's the words? The buzzwords are like representation and equity and so on within media is very frustrating because I don't need sterilized media. When I'm watching a film, I want to watch a story. I don't particularly care. Maybe I'm talking from a point of privilege here, but
yes, darling. We both have beards today.
But I don't particularly care about if it's a film about a war. Unless someone's sexual orientation really plays a part in the actual story, I don't care. I don't care if they're straight. I don't care if they're gay. I don't care if they're into whatever they're into. It's this idea that you've got to have a certain number. I mean, what was this really funny BuzzFeed video? I think it was BuzzFeed or Vox, where they said about they want to have a petition, a campaign, because too many lesbian characters are being killed on TV, and we need to lower the number. It's like, you do know they're fake. They're not real. They're not real people. That's an actor.
They get wiped out.
They didn't actually die. I don't know if you know how TV works, but that's why you'll see them again in something else and they'll have a different name.
But it was also,
we're probably taking this all too seriously.
Yeah, but it was also sensationalism, and you have a lot of these screenwriters. They just go, "Yeah, we'll have a lesbian being killed." Why is that? Yeah, we're playing to a subsection of our audience.
Right.
A bit of rage there.
Yeah. Well, if you can provoke a reaction, I guess go for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a horror fan, so I've got to believe in the idea of provoking
What's your favourite horror film?
reactions.
Or at least in the top 5.
So I'd say Halloween.
Ooh, the original.
The original. For the simple reason, I first watched when I was 10, which is nuts.
I can't watch it. It just scares the living daylights out of me.
Well, I'm actually going to a horror film after we're done.
Oh, you
with
really?
it. Yeah, this afternoon. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I actually saw it last week, but
What's it called?
Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Is it a main cinema release?
Yeah, it's a Del Toro production. I can't remember the name of the
He's like Baroque style of cinema. It's beautiful.
I'd honestly suggest watching it because it's a very, I wouldn't say campy in the sense of it being comedy campy, but it's very theatrical. It's basically a set in the 50s, 60s crossover. Very well stylized, very well shot. From a photographic point of view, it's a beautiful film, and it's just separate sort of anthologies of the same story. So it's a book gets found with scary stories in it and they come real.
I follow cinema massively.
Yeah.
I have not heard of that.
Because horror's a taboo now, not in the way that it's like violent, but in the way that it's just shit on generally. Horror, I think people misunderstand. I actually think horror's the smartest form of cinema for a simple reason, that if you go and watch a comedy and it's not funny, it's boring. If you go and watch an action film and it's not exciting, it's boring. If you go and watch a horror and it's not scary, it's usually quite funny.
Yeah. We did. Have you seen Midsummer?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I didn't like some of the CGI in it, but it got to the end. And do you know where you have the happy ending?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's gone wrong, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it just dove into the floor and kept digging.
Yeah. Well, I think that's because it's the same director as Hereditary.
Sorry, it was Hereditary I'm thinking of.
Oh, okay.
And I haven't seen, I'm waiting until Midsummer comes out on Blu-ray.
Well, all I'd say with Midsummer is prepare yourself for the length of it.
Oh, really?
And it's not traditional. I don't know how to say this without spoiling it.
It looks like it's going to be a bit Wicker Man-ish to me.
No.
No, really?
Well, not no, but Wicker Man is build, payoff. The payoff in Midsummer is the build.
Oh, really? Oh,
so
okay.
you have to go with the journey, not the destination, and you'll enjoy it. But try and watch the shortest version of it you can. That's what I would say, because it's close to 3 hours.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I don't think any film needs to be close to 3 hours at all.
Unless it's Lord of the Rings.
No.
The extended version.
I'm having none of that.
I tried to set aside a day once to watch all three of them. Just didn't happen.
You need like 3 days, right? If you watch the directors.
It was. I mean, I'm a massive Lord of the Rings fan. Actually, I'm a bit of a geek anyway, just because how I am.
Right.
But they're just too long.
Well, it's credit to Peter Jackson because he can take a very short kids book like The Hobbit and make 3-hour films out of it.
That was Del Toro was doing that,
right?
And Del Toro did all the work behind the scenes. Got within a few weeks of actually doing it. Went through production, everything. About to start filming, and he suddenly went, "Nah, I've had enough. I'm going home." And so Peter Jackson I think it was like a family thing, and he was just a bit tired and whatever else. I don't really know because obviously you're reading someone else's words about what happened.
Yeah.
And so Peter Jackson basically had to step in.
Right.
And go, what the hell? And from what I understand, could be wrong, and many people will probably correct me, the White Orc wasn't actually in it.
Right.
He got introduced by Peter Jackson, who then was basically literally writing it on the set as he was going along. Yeah, and kudos to get 3 films out of it because they weren't very good.
No. But
the actors were really good in it.
I think the problem with... Peter Jackson's got an interesting history when it comes to
Brain Dead,
like Lovely Bones.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He if you listen to him talk about the production and you listen to Ryan Gosling talk about the production, because he was originally the dad.
Yeah.
And Peter Jackson says, I think he's like, oh well, he had a different idea of the character than me, blah blah blah. And Ryan Gosling is like, I was too fat. He didn't like the way I looked. So it's like I think Peter Jackson's quite good at putting out the very sterile, non-dramatic version, and Hollywood's very good at being dramatic. So let's take a massive steer back towards photography here. When it comes to how many times a week are you shooting?
2 or 3.
Okay.
And sometimes just every night.
Right. And is it mostly nighttime you're shooting then?
Yeah,
right, okay. Yeah. So day is edit or day is...
Yeah, just days edit, farting about, doing other
stuff. Playing with cats.
Playing with cats. Got loads of cats to play with. Like one of my cats, Stoffy, if I'm editing, got all the blinds down so it's all blacked out.
Yeah.
Sits behind my chair and basically howls until I land on the floor with him.
Right.
I literally have to spoon with my cat, Stoffy, for about a minute or so to stop him meowing at me.
I think that's going to be the soundbite.
Spooning my cats.
So 2 or 3 times a week. And what's your prep going in? Like, what's your prep to shoot? Are you story? Yeah, are you mood boarding?
Yeah. We mood board. We get outfits and stuff. Sometimes we'll just depending on if Vicky's having like a brain fart or something, she'll suddenly go, I want to try this, and I go, okay. Do you have a spare dead shark about?
Yeah.
And then, but. On the whole, we try and prep as much as possible beforehand. Sometimes someone will say, I can shoot tomorrow. And you go, I'm not doing anything. What time? And they just rock up a suitcase and then I'll just, if it's like a bloke, obviously, and I'll just basically just go and do what I'm doing without any prep, and we'll just try and ad-lib it.
Yeah. And you're mostly studio orientated, right?
Yeah.
So is outdoor, is not outdoor, but is like location stuff not appealing as much?
About 3 years ago, I couldn't walk properly.
Right.
I've got. I used to be a professional BMXer, riding the ramps.
Didn't we all?
And I did all stupid stuff like taekwondo and boxing and Muay Thai. And I did all the stupid stuff that basically wrecks your body.
All right.
And so L4 and L5 in my back are completely and utterly gone.
Yep.
So I used to go out first thing in the morning, like years and years and years ago, and try and take pictures of Londoners who was waking up and sell prints.
Yep.
Got some lovely pictures. And then it got to a point I couldn't basically carry anything anymore.
Yep.
Always liked portraits, always good. Didn't think I could do them because it looks really hard. And so basically I just set up the studio and started shooting at home. But now with Pilates and weights, I can, if I want, to go out and go outside. But now I just think, I can wake up, I can walk downstairs. A studio.
Yeah.
Occasionally I'll get someone try and get me outside.
Yeah.
But if it's not a good enough idea, then.
Right. Okay.
So as you can tell, I like my studio.
You like your studio. That's absolutely fine. And your studio is, you said earlier, it's your like converted garage?
Yeah. I just come down, have a cup of coffee, walk out, I'm there.
Lovely.
So it's a really hard commute.
I'm very fortunate. We're all on one level, so I don't even have the stairs part of
even
that.
Better,
so yeah.
Even better. Yeah.
And as far as so we've both worked for, I think, at least one of the same agencies in terms of some of the models we've worked with. Yeah. There's a lot of crossover.
Yeah.
When you do testing with agencies and they send you over like a list of people that are available, are you looking at like the diversity of the subject, or is it literally a project to project thing where
the first time I did it, I said, right, they gave me a load of models and I went, I'll have everyone.
Yeah, there's not usually a bad one, is there, from an agency? So.
Oh, you say that. I've had some howlers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Go on, why not? Go on.
Some abs. I had one model, but some of the models' communication, I'm sure it's the same on the flip side for models with photographers, but some of them just don't communicate. They don't answer. And it's just so frustrating. And occasionally they'll drop out the day before. Yep. I remember Frank de Hoof once saying, always book 3 models for a shoot. He said, I adhered to that. 2 let me down. He said, one time, like all 3, all dead grandmas. He said, so just occasionally you can't take into account. And one agency, I said, oh God, they've dropped out. And she said, it was on the day as well. And you know what it's like when you're prepped and you're ready to go and you're all fired up. I said, I'll always send you someone. And then someone basically drove up and opened up the door. I was like, okay. I mean, it's not, she was a really, really pretty girl, but her skin was not model skin.
Right.
And it wasn't, the poor girl just had real skin problems, but it certainly didn't affect her confidence.
Yeah.
Like she thought she was like just the best thing ever.
Yeah.
And in terms of processing, it took me ages to go through those, because you think you want to give the agency decent pictures. And then I just got a distinct impression the agency just basically pulled the first thing they could out of the hat and just tossed me a bone.
Right.
And I wish they hadn't. But
so what is your worst shoot? Like, what's the worst one you've ever had?
Oh my!
I feel like you're one of the few I can actually ask that question to, and you're not going to react terribly.
Just, do you know when people are really kind of politic and they go, "As none of my shoots are bad because I'm this and I'm that." No, I've had some howlers.
Yeah.
And if you haven't had howlers, you're either not passionate enough, or you're lying,
or you're safe. You're playing it way too safe.
So, and the third one, or you're safe.
Way too safe. That's one thing is I can be personally unbelievably planned out in what I want to do, down to like, but you have to have that 10%.
Yeah.
Where it's just going to go nuts and you have to be able to keep up with that. If you don't have that, you are going to produce the same photo over and over and over and over and no one will care. In fact, I have a really funny story, very quick one.
Go on.
So I taught a workshop a few years ago and 2 people on the workshop I knew and the other 6 I had never met before. So I'm talking to the 2 that I knew before the start, but when people are just arriving, they're unpacking their stuff and whatnot. And me and these 2 photographers are having a chat, and there's a third guy, just off to the side, and he's kind of looking over shoulders at me and like really, so when someone wants your attention, but they're not being particularly direct. And I was like, okay, I won't make a big point of like calling him out because he's obviously a little bit shy. He's not just come straight over. And I was like, how you doing? I'm Kris. And he's like, oh, I've been following your work for a while. I just think it's amazing how you've done so much with the same 3 photos. And I was like,
Cheers, mate.
That's up there with the nicest things anyone's ever said about me. Cheers.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, I'll pick my jaw up off the floor now.
Yeah,
thank you.
cheers. Now I've got all the confidence I need to teach 8 people. I thought it was just so funny.
Picture 1 for you. Picture 2.
We're going to do 3 sets. Picture 1, picture 2, and picture 3, and I'm going home. And we had one workshop, and I know a few people that listen to this are going to love the fact that I'm going to tell this story. So I'm not trying to hijack anything, but this is definitely one that I think you'll have an opinion on. So I got asked to go and do workshops in Amersham, and they were apparently very selective, but they picked me, so they weren't being selective enough. And there was myself, a photographer called Jake Hicks.
Yeah.
The jailed guy.
He's a model as well, isn't he? Oh, no.
That's Joel. That's Joel Hicks. Jake Hicks is the...
he's gel stuff. Yeah. I like his stuff.
Yeah,
I never understand how he gets everything looking so smooth in his shots with gels. And I do it with gels. Everyone looks like they've been run over by a tractor and retextured.
It looks like, when I do it, it always just looks like red light district gone wrong. So Jake Hicks, I think, had been in the week before, and he was going to be in the week after. I'd only been booked in for 1. He'd been booked in for like 4 or 5. I think he ended up doing about 10. There was Bella Kotak. There's a
Pratik Naik's other half. He's a retoucher.
Okay, there you go. Thank you. Thanks, because I was really struggling there for a second.
Yes, yeah.
She was also booked in to do stuff there, and a couple of others. Anyway, so I had to go up and meet the guy that owned the studio, and we went out to lunch, and I'm painfully working class, and he was quite well off, and he was talking to me about his custom-made Range Rover or Land Rover or whichever one is which, and we went off and had this like decompartmentalized pizza at a posh gastropub thing, and it was a bizarre day. I didn't really know what I was supposed to even talk about. He did most of the talking. So anyway, I go in and do this workshop, quite nervous because it's a fairly new studio and they've kind of seeked me out. They sought me out for this particular thing, and I was like, I don't really know that much. I'm not very good at this. So they get 10 people in, which is the most I'd ever taught at that point, and none of them I knew. So it was all completely new. And we go to start the first set, and all I'm talking about is that there's one particular lighting setup I do, which I call an asymmetric split, because it helps me remember how I put it together, not because that's actually what it is.
Okay, what is that?
So basically, it's for the sake of teaching it now, it's a very, very large square softbox that is at a right angle from the model. So in front to their right, so camera left, which is in front of them and not firing at them. It's firing past them, directly in front of them.
Yeah, so kind of feathering.
Feathered on them, perfect. And then behind them on the offside, so on the other side from that, there's a strip bank, which is doing a little bit of rim lighting, but it has to be very, very low power because it's only there to cut out.
Because everyone loves it when it looks like they've got like the angelic halo. People love that stuff.
I've noticed with fitness shoots lately, people want it to look like they've been to Chernobyl recently. And then on the same side as the softbox, you've got a gridded spot for the background, which is only there to cut off the offside from rim light. And the only way you can shoot it where I think it looks good is if you go above sort of 85mm, because it has to really compress down the layers, because I want a lot of depth for the shot. And I was talking through like, it's not something I'd want to be doing with a 24-70. If you've got a 70-200 or anything over an 85, that's where you want to go. And this one guy kind of started coughing and making a big fuss. And I thought maybe he was dying or being dramatic. And he went, well, I'd have to disagree with you there. I was like, oh, okay, cool, great. First lighting setup, that's perfect. I need that to my confidence. This is brilliant. And he's like, I said, so please tell me where am I wrong on this? Because I actually want to know if I'm going to be wrong on something. I'd love to know why I'm wrong, and then I know for next time.
Especially in front of 8 people.
I'm not particularly precious when it comes to being wrong.
I'm not. If someone says it, you go, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, if I can learn something, I'd rather learn it than hide behind my own ego.
No, definitely.
And so I said, okay, perfect. Let me know where I'm wrong. And he said, well, you can shoot the same thing with a 24mm and just crop in and it'll have exactly the same effect. And I said, well, no, like technically it won't, because obviously optics are going to have a different effect. And I thought what he meant was, before he fully explained himself, was that I should get a 24mm and go that close to the model. I said, well, the main problem you're focusing on that you'll get out of that is the fact that you're going to have so much additional real estate in the photo, so lights are going to start to appear. And he's like, no, really like trying to stand over me, patronizing me. So no, shoot it from the same point that you're stood at with the 85, but shoot it with a 24 and then just crop in and you'll have the same photo. And I said, okay, I'm not going to get into whether or not that's technically true, because it's not, and I'm not going to have that conversation with you, but why would you do that? Why would you spend $2,000 on a camera and use 13% of its sensor for the sake of putting on a different lens? And he actually said, well, I think we might have to go outside. And the part of me that grew up around Wandsworth and has a brother that's a bit of an abusive shit, and, you know, we used to have a lot of fights as a kid and stuff, was like, okay, like, if that's how we have to resolve this problem, because I've supplied you with the information, whether or not you choose to accept it is okay. But if it's going to be like, we're going to get aggressive with each other, I didn't really know how to respond to that. And I've since heard the story told from his side, where I was asked to go and teach at a camera club. Did you try
and shiv him?
Well, close. It's actually, it'll surprise you that you missed what he actually told people. So he's told people that, so this camera club wanted to book me, come in and teach, and he vetoed it on the premise that he almost had to beat me up once, which is just the best way to tell that story. So the whole rest of the day he wouldn't talk and left early, and other people were then scared to ask questions, which I didn't want at all, because
the thing about cropping, I'm not a pixel peeper. They drive me insane, pixel peepers do. But if you're speaking from a position that you like with compression, just you're not going to get the same compression.
No.
And if you're cropping it, you lose it. Like you said, using 35% of the sensor or whatever.
Yeah.
What a nut. How old was he?
Oh, God, about 300 years old.
Oh, so he wasn't a young man. He wasn't like a young dumb.
He wasn't a small guy either. He was about 6'5". I mean, I'm not a big lad, but honestly, when he said, I think we'll have to go outside, but he said it with no sense of irony or humor, I was like, oh, okay. Like, I didn't realize on my first sort of big workshop outside of my comfort area, I was going to have to go and beat one of them up outside, But
just think, you had enough of them to stand around you and chant, fight,
yeah, exactly.
like a school.
But the fact that nobody kind of stepped in and was like, come on, guys, let's, settle down, or tried to make, even do a golfer's laugh, just to kind of calm. It was a bizarre situation.
I wonder if this guy thinks he's like a big deal there or something. I wonder if he's got some input into the studio.
Yeah, I think it's like a lot of people that are a big deal. I'd never heard of them, so I didn't care. And I had the workshop last month, and a model, the photographer on it, kept saying, I wouldn't do it that way. I'd do it this way. And I was like, okay, cool, do it that way. Like, crack on. Like, if you see a shot differently, then go for it. And she said to me at one point, she goes, I'm probably getting on your nerves, aren't I? I was like, to be honest with you, if you want to pay me 150 quid to tell me you don't agree with me, then that's fine. Like, people tell me they disagree with me for free. If you want to pay me for the privilege, then that's fine. So you don't have any interest in teaching?
No.
Based on that conversation,
No.
I'm sure that hasn't helped.
No.
But as far as, okay, so something I've talked about a fair bit in the past, and I'm interested to hear how you feel about this. I feel like even if you have a makeup artist or a stylist or any amount of people involved, when it really comes down to rubber and road time, it's 50% photographer, 50% model.
Yeah.
And how are you with working with newer models? Is it
fine.
You're...
So to go back to the teaching thing, at some point I'm going to have to go down that route, because there'll be a point where I just have that itch I've got to scratch.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not looking forward to it just because of people.
Well, just give me a heads up and I'll be an attendee, but we won't mention who I am.
Just don't fight me. Please don't beat me up. Come on.
Well, I'll just keep going. Well, I don't know if I agree with that every time you say something.
I'll just go,
outside.
When we get out there, have a cup of tea or something.
Yeah.
Lovely.
What we do is we'll go outside, make it look like we've had a dust up, and then we'll come back in and I'll be like, you're all right, he was fine.
Yeah, it's all right, yeah.
There you go, just have a plant. Have a fake beat me up section, and then everyone will respect you.
I mean, but just would you not just... Yeah, I'll bring Vicky. Quick, don't make up quick. Make up. I've got like 5 rounds with Tyson or whatever.
If she doesn't turn up, just give me a black eye. It'll be fine. I'll take one for the team.
Yeah, just whack her in the head. No, I just don't get it. If you pay that much money, why would you not listen to the person? Because all you got to do is take the picture and go, crap, he was right. But I'm still going to scowl at him. I'll just keep quiet now.
Yeah.
You know, the amount of times people, like when you're a young man, people say, do this, and you go, I'm not doing that. Oh, damn, it works. I'm not going to tell him it works.
Yeah.
When you get a bit older, you need to learn to say sorry.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, not be a pain in the ass.
Well, even if I've never ever claimed that I'm particularly good at photography by any stretch of the imagination, it's more a case of if you are on a workshop that's got my name at the top of it, then
You've seen
surely
my work.
you must have seen my work, and surely you must realise that there must be a reason to the process I go through. I understand that there are photographers that are so fucking haphazard that you could go to a workshop of theirs and get no photos that even look like theirs because they just kind of make it up as they go along, and every so often they happen to have hit a home run. But if I'm like, I don't know, if I've been to 2 workshops myself, which is bizarre because I realised I'd taught them for 3 years before I'd been to one myself, which was really stupid because I was
not paying attention at the time.
I was absent. No.
Turned up. Oh crap! What was teaching this?
Well, I don't see it as a workshop if I already know everything because I'm the one teaching it. It's more. I went to Ross Harvey. I think is the best photographer in the world, and if he wasn't such a fruitcake, I'd love for him to come on this.
Oh really?
But he is away with the fairies. Like I learned this from being on his workshop that I turned up and it was supposed to be I think about 12 people or 8 people. There was about 40 of us in the room. And I realised something was off. I paid 500 quid for this thing.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. And I was quite annoyed because obviously you expect for 500 quid, you're going to have a certain degree of actually being able to talk to the guy that's teaching. Yeah. And he started off talking about the stuff that I don't particularly care about when it comes to photography, which is all the gear stuff, what he uses, which I understand for a lot of people, it's exciting. Yeah, not for me. It's like if he says, well, I use this 20mm lens, I'm not going to be like, I need to go buy that one or I can't do what he does.
No, if he said why, you go, oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Why is always, it's the question no one asks and it's the most important one. And then it got to the second half of the morning and he started talking about how he could control the universe of his mind. And honestly, I'm not kidding you. I was just like, just talk about weddings. Shut up about double slit theory and the universe being aware of us and positivity. Just shut up. Talk about photography. I have paid a lot of money for this. And we went to lunch and I ended up sitting about 3 chairs along from him. And everyone was going, I find it so fascinating. You talking about the universe and the positivity. And I was just like, why am I the only person that's getting annoyed by this?
That would drive me absolutely insane.
I've paid 500 quid to listen to someone tell me that he can control the universe of his mind. I mean, maybe he can because he got me to pay 500 quid to be there.
And 40 of you. Yeah. Well, it's like, I went and saw Joe McNally. There was this thing come up. It said, do you want to go and hear Joe McNally talk? And I was like, all right. I like Joe McNally's work, you know. And we went up to, it was somewhere, I can't remember where it was. And at the time, I was like, happy snapper.
Yeah.
And it was just fabulous.
Yeah.
And it was a really like an interesting sort of raconteur. And everything he was saying was interesting. It was all photography focused. And when it finished, I was like, crap, I've got to go home now.
Yeah.
I was genuinely really engaged. And he said, go, by the way, I'll show you some quick stuff. Popped his speed lights out. I was like, oh, God, he's good, isn't he?
Yeah.
And you're thinking, I could never do that. But the way that he broke it down was just, it was quite simplistic. And I thought, yeah, maybe I can do this.
Yeah.
And I've got mates who said, no, you can't do it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. A couple of my mates, one of them said, no, you are quite useless at photography. You won't be able to do portrait photography. So
right.
you can do street stuff. I take pictures of buildings.
But what was their reasoning?
I honestly, maybe I was just that bad at the time. I don't know.
Right. Okay. It wasn't like a people thing or...
No, because they're really good friends with me.
No, I mean, like they didn't think that, like, because I've got friends that, well, that's a lie. But I've got people that I know, but they would probably say that I'm not the most people person, despite the fact that I run a podcast, I photograph weddings, I photograph models, which I can understand. I like specific people. Right. You know, I've got a very small subsection of friends. Yeah. And if you're my friend, like I'm in your corner sort of thing. Yeah. You know, but some people I can just go, when they walk out the door, my brain says, keep walking, don't come back. Yeah. You know, because there are a lot of things. You make sure they can hear the lock turn as they're walking away. Well, I try and chuck something at them as they're going just to, accentuate it. But no, I do like people, but I find a lot of people just take. Yeah. Oh,
and,
gotcha.
and in this day and age, it just takes its it takes its toll on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, back McNally.
I think he's really underappreciated as a photographer.
I love McNally.
He is.
I love his stuff.
He's got to be in the conversation for the best all-rounder. Like, if you know what I mean. I mean that to sound like I'm being
no. I honestly, right, just when I got into it, because Kelby, basically, Kelby was my the salesman. Kelby was my
salesman, yeah.
He was basically one that said like, I just aim that, do that, and it was like, okay, there's some grounding, you know, and it's absolutely fine. It was brilliant. When it came to like buying a subscription, I was like, no, I'm not doing that.
Right.
You know, I'm not going to go down that whole world, you know, because he's a salesman, you know, obviously didn't work too well on me though.
Right.
But I bought his books, so he made some money out of me. But McNally, there's some real magic in his stuff, and he's been about. I mean, he explains behind a lot of his shots. He took a picture of James Brown.
Wow.
And he explained this, and it just kind of sums up James Brown and his hallway and stuff. And he spoke about how he did it. Basically, James Brown sort of turned up and went, hey, and McNally went, oh crap! Like, I've got like a minute to take his picture. Snap. You know, didn't stuff it up. Got the picture. Guys away, and he was talking about his early days when he worked for National Geographic and stuff. Yeah, and he just led a fascinating life, and it was from film right through to digital. Yeah, you know, and he seems to have the knack for teaching.
Oh God, yeah. I think I actually just
and he's still relevant.
Yes, but that's because he's skilled. It's not. He's not a gimmick. It's skill.
I absolutely loathe a lot of the shoot two stops under and drag up the shadows. Yeah.
That's a Manny Ortiz thing.
Oh, I could name some photographers, but my wife's lovely, and she always says, "Try and be nice, darling." You know, she's fabulous, and I try and be nicer. Yeah. So rather than, I'm not going to name and shame them because these photographers don't know who I am. They'll never know who I am because I'm so far under the radar that it's not funny. But a lot of them, they just drag up the shadows, and all you've got to do is look at the skin tones, and you think, people aren't grey normally. You know, you weren't born grey. Yeah. You know, and then everyone's plussing it and they're liking it. And
so I'm assuming that you're probably not a big fan of this like preset culture that we're in, where you buy a preset and you can take a photo the same as someone else.
Oh, and there's always someone selling one. Yeah. Come buy my presets.
Actually noticed yesterday, I had a friend of mine who's I've known him since I started photography, and we probably meet up like once every 18 months or something, and then just hate watch YouTube. And we were watching Frono's Photo, which I don't.
Frono's Photo.
Jared Poland.
Oh, he's got a guy with big hair. Yeah. A lot of people hate him.
Yeah, well, he's a shill. He's a bit of a salesman.
He's quite polarizing as well, isn't he? Because I saw on a load of channels people put up his images and they just go, they talk about how much they hate him. I'm just like, whoa, that's a lot of time to hate someone, you know?
I think I wouldn't give him that much energy, to be honest with you. I think if you don't like someone, then just remove them from your vision. If you know what I mean?
He's part of the Zacharias crew, isn't he? Oh no,
he's in that same ballpark. Yeah, he's friends with him.
Yeah, I'm sure I've seen him do stuff.
He's done some pretty nefarious stuff in the past. I think he screwed over a business partner pretty bad when his business took off, and
lovely,
things like that. Or at least that would be the optics from the outside. I'm not there. I can't say for sure. Yeah. But he's now selling presets, and he's, to me, someone like Frono's Photo, and there's a lot of these about, and I'm hoping you might understand what I mean when I say this, is that they're photographers that aren't known for photography. Yeah. They're known for sample shots that are only sample shots of stuff they've been sent to tell you it's good so that they get a kickback when you click the link in the description. Yep. And they're photographers that just aren't photographers. They might be perfectly good ones, but
they aren't. Yeah. Yeah. Or there's no evidence.
No, and you'd think that when, you know, you're literally holding an evidence box, you'd be able to produce some, which is really what a camera is.
I hate presets. I really hate presets. There's when I see certain people's work and I just look at it and I go, oh God.
Yeah. You know? Is it mine?
Actually, I dig.
Is this an intervention?
I like your shadows.
My shadows?
Yeah.
I've only got one, depending on the light source.
But you play with them nicely. And because a lot of people just go, and the shadows almost become like this really kind of like light grey.
Yeah.
You know, like gunmetal grey or something. But no, your shadows, I like your processing, actually.
Well, I feel people only look, well, thank you, firstly, it's very kind. But I think it's an underestimated part of lighting is paying more attention to shadows, or paying as much as there is to lighting. Because if you have someone that's in really good shape, you have a very like well-defined, chiseled guy, and you don't use the shadows correctly, they end up looking like me. So that's my argument.
Gorgeous, darling, gorgeous.
Chubby, I would say. I've only got the beard there as a sort of human contour, so I don't look like I've got such a big double chin. But no, I think as far as preset culture goes, I think it's sad because what it does is it enables a lot of people to be very lazy at a point when they could be really honing their craft.
It stifles any kind of innovation and learning.
Yeah.
And I know that because I used presets at one point.
Right.
And I remember just being frustrated about it all.
Yeah.
And then, why is he not doing that? Why is he not doing that? So then you go onto YouTube, you look at some, didn't know you could do that in Photoshop. I mean, Photoshop is just vast.
Terrifying, right?
Oh, good God, this stuff it can do.
Yeah.
You know, and all your blend modes and I mean, just sometimes when you want really blacks, like the color lookup tool, bit blacks, drag it down. It's like, oh, look at those blacks. And you've not had to basically mess about with your contrast or anything else in the picture.
Yeah.
You know, but no, I'm not a fan of.
You're not a big preset. You're not going to tell me at the end that you've got some for sale.
But what I have got is and
and they're always 30% off, even though they were never sold at full price.
Yeah.
It's like DFS.
The thing, and it's always in just the right price range. You think, should I eat this week or get those presets?
Yeah.
So you know, I could lose a few pounds, but they're always like 25 quid or something. Occasionally I look at stuff and if the preset's like 130 quid, I think, Christ, that must be. I always click on the link if they're really expensive because I think, what do they know that I don't?
Yeah.
And I get that. No, it's the same thing again.
Yeah.
You know, but sometimes people they equate loads of money with actual quality.
Well, premier pricing philosophy, isn't it?
Like, nearly had me a few times. Oh, brother.
I remember talking to a guy who was fairly high up in Nike marketing, and he said that you have 3 tiers of football boots with Nike. You have the cheap ones, the middle ones, and the very expensive ones. The very expensive ones are an alteration on the mid-priced ones. But if they don't sell some at that higher price, they'll lose that market. Like, people that want to buy a pair of football boots for 150 quid will not buy a pair for 100 quid. They have to go, they'll go to another company and buy some for 150 quid, which humans are weird.
Yeah.
Humans are very bizarre creatures.
Well, Vans trainers?
Yes.
As an old BMXer, I've got a mate of mine, Davros.
Yeah.
That's his nickname. He runs Volt BMX up in North London. They've got Vans up there that are really, really hard wearing.
Yeah.
Yep. They're the ones that I bought a pair of him. They last me for ages. The ones you buy in the streets, exactly the same price, except they'll fall apart in about 2 months.
Right.
And it's just knowing where to get stuff for the same kind of price, isn't it?
Yeah.
And value you're going to get and everything else. But because I buy the proper skate ones, they last me. I've had them for like 9 months or whatever.
Yeah.
And,
well, that's the other thing as well, is that value and price aren't always together.
No. They're. I had my Nikon D7000, and I love that camera. It wasn't even that dear, but I remember going out on some photo walks. Actually, I met so many nice people through photo walks, like my mate Nicky and stuff, and loads of people. And people would sneer at me with their full frame cameras, and I'm not particularly good at being sneered at because I get a bit grr.
Yeah,
you know. And I remember one guy saying to me like, hey, "Your glass is crap," and I'd never heard of a lens. I'd never heard of a lens like referred to as glass. So it went over my head. I didn't.
Right.
I just went, okay.
Yeah.
And I said to someone with, what does glass mean? I say lens. I was like, oh. I was all indignant after that.
Right,
you know?
get back here.
Yeah, it was gone by that point. But the cheap glass is a bit crap in certain respects, you know. But just you kind of, I've gone off on a tangent again.
No, you're all good.
But if that's all you can afford and you want to do something you love, you buy it.
Yeah.
You know, and but it really annoyed me.
Well, most of the time with photography, the margins between an amazing lens and an awful lens are not as big as we think. I think the more into photography you are, the more you think people care about background rendering. I tell you that there's the old older glass. Like I'm a big fan of the 135mm f2 L lens, which is now, as far as L lenses go, it's knocking on quite a bit, and it's becoming more and more popular. It has spherical aberration, so it has that swirly bokeh going on. I'm a big fan of that. And obviously, as time goes on, because it's seen as like an error, it's being corrected out of lenses. So now there's a big push for old Helios lenses that have been modded, so they have that exaggerated, or like the one over there, which is the Savile, which has the real pronounced swirl. No one cares outside of like me and other photographers. I haven't taken a portrait with, or like a wedding. I shot the wedding cake with the Savile a while back at a wedding. And then come back to me and go, I love the rendering on the background. That swirl is beautiful.
God, mate.
Yeah. No one cares outside of photographers. And I think when it comes to like the cheapness of, let's say, glass, so that person feels justified in saying glass.
I know what it means now. You're okay.
Okay, so the based on the cheapness of the glass doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to get a good shot out of it, or it has its own strength, and it maybe doesn't have certain gimmicks that other lenses rely on.
I'm going to stop you there because mine was an 18-200, and at the far end, it looked like someone had rubbed Vaseline over it.
But that's an effect.
Yeah.
You just say,
and it wasn't that guy's camera; it was my camera.
Get a Dymo label, right? Lomography, stick it on it, and people will buy it for
Lomo.
Yeah,
they went nowhere. They bought the technology, didn't they, for that lomography stuff?
Yeah.
And it never got used. It was put into like a standard camera, wasn't it?
Yeah, Lomography is a funny company because I think the problem is that where they got contracted to go into in America are all places that it's all gimmicky. It's all about hipsters and gimmicks, and so they focus so much on that market that everything else fell through. I mean, the Savile is one of my favorite lenses, and if people can find them, I always recommend that they pick them up because they're becoming more and more like hen's teeth. And the daguerreotype they made is actually a really cool lens. But
I like the fact you think I know what you're talking about.
I like the fact that probably even people that work for Lomography don't know what I'm talking about. I know more about them than I think they do.
Well, that's when you mentioned like the L lens. I was like, L lens, that's the Canon, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
That's the L stands for expensive.
Yeah.
And yeah, they have some good stuff, but it's like a lot of companies, it's more gimmick based than it is useful based, which is sad.
It must be really hard actually to come up with something and then think, all right, where's this going to get used? How can we get our money back? We've got investors, we've got this, we've got that.
Yeah.
And everything now is bottom dollar, isn't it?
Yeah.
And at some point, stuff's coming out, and there's always something shit on it. You know, it's not like the old days where like you got your toy as a kid and it was made out of metal and everything, and it was just like, this entire toy is fantastic. It's
well built.
Yeah.
I could hit someone with it and they die.
Or be hit in turn when one of your brothers or your sister chucks it at you.
Yeah.
You know? But now it's always, you go, oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, that's shit. And it's just, because they've went, well, we can save like $2 on that, on this, that, and yeah.
And also you have like, I know Canon are notorious for this. I don't want to speak for every company, but they'll leave features out and put them on other cameras so that you're inclined to always buy up, which is a good marketing strategy. But when you are 10 years loyal to a company and they start dicking you about with stuff that's actually vital to your job, that's quite irritating.
Yeah.
And I bet you if like, because you've obviously got the mutual destruction of Nikon and Canon, then they're never going to do anything to hurt themselves via each other.
No, they're on a death spiral.
Yeah, oh God, yeah. But if one of them was to just go, fuck it, we're going to make the best camera we can for the lowest price we can make it, every feature we can squeeze into it's going in, the other one would be like, oh shit, red alert. They're actually going to put all the features of the camera.
It's a race to the floor anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's like when someone says, a couple of local photographers to me, like someone's like, they'll ask me for a quote and I go, oh, this is what I'll do, blah, blah, blah. You know, they go, can you do any better? And I go, well, might be able to give you 5% off here, you know, depending on.
If you buy my presets, I'll give you 5% off.
Yeah, 130 quid. And then there were guys, like such and such down the road said that they'd shoot me 25 portraits for like 12 quid and like 3 magic beans.
Yeah.
I'm just like, go and do it. Off you go. You can't really say that.
Sounds like a steal.
You do, yeah. The magic beans. Ooh, I want those magic beans. You know, and
do you know the sentence that I use when I have wedding clients that say, well, they're not wedding clients, but people that have inquired and then they say, well, so-and-so will do it for less. I always say the same thing. That sounds too good to be true, and it probably isn't.
Yeah.
Best of luck.
But yeah, no, also with wedding photography, I don't know why you'd skimp on the day. Because if you're getting married, I mean, unless you're going to get divorced in a year or so, you want those pictures. You're getting married for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want, like, I've seen some truly horrendous wedding pictures, and you look at them and you think, oh God, you won't be looking back on those going, honey, look at this. Like my pictures, the guy that did ours was absolutely perfectly serviceable.
Yeah.
Now I know a bit about photography. I wouldn't have done it like that. I'd have done like this, you know. Yeah. But they evoke their memory. They're good. They're well lit. You know, everything kind of works.
Yeah.
But when you want to skimp on your wedding pictures, it's just a false economy.
Yeah.
You know, some people you just can't afford them, and that's fine.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
But don't skimp or think you're getting a better deal.
Well, I'm definitely not in the premier pricing range. I'm underneath that, and I tend to want to be. I'd rather be undervalued than overvalued. Yeah. Because I think long-term business-wise, it's a bad idea to overvalue what you do.
Yeah.
But I'd rather have, and this is me personally, if I was to get remarried, I would, and I definitely plan to. She's not listening. I would definitely plan to have okay, so you could have a good photographer make a bad venue look amazing, but a bad photographer can make an amazing venue look terrible.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's the one thing I'd say is, like, obviously the first thing is to make sure you enjoy the experience of your wedding day, but the way it's documented, it's not, there's no way that paying someone 200 quid who's around the corner and they've just bought their camera from Curry's is going to end well. Is Curry still a shop? Curry's is still a shop. Curry's PC World. That's still a shop. That's today's sponsor. No.
Yeah.
This is a photography podcast, so every single sponsor has to be Squarespace. If it's not sponsored by Squarespace,
actually, my website's on Squarespace.
So it's mine, but they still just piss me off so much because every YouTube video is sponsored by bloody Squarespace.
My website went down for 15 minutes yesterday. Right, it's hosted. MX is on Google, the domain name. Squarespace went, no, it's Google. Google went, no, it's Squarespace. I was no. And I'm very techie.
Oh, right. Because at that point, I honestly would just look like a horse booking a holiday.
I just basically screen scraped both conversations. All right, next time it goes down, we'll see. And I couldn't ping it. Couldn't do an NS lookup on it. Just words.
Yeah, honestly,
I'm just speaking words now.
Honestly, I think I just had a minor stroke trying to understand any of that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, but no, everything is sponsored by Squarespace.
Yeah. And then they do you know what? I absolutely tell you to go and watch a Manny Ortiz video. Only one, because you won't be able to get through many.
On the way home, on the train home, when we look at this guy, he's right. He's a genius, that man.
Well, he's a marketing whiz because he'll do the Squarespace bit at the beginning of his video, and I'm gonna try and not exaggerate this. So he'll go, before we get started, this video is sponsored by Squarespace, and then you can hear the piece of paper that he's reading off of, and he'll go, Squarespace is a great place if you need a domain or a portfolio hosting site with a bunch of great templates. So put a bit in it, mate, for Christ's sake.
If they're giving you some money, be enthusiastic.
If you're going to make me sit through this shite, at least care. One of us has to care and you're getting the money. Okay, so we could probably, I think, based on this, talk for another 5 hours.
Yeah, so
no, it's brilliant. It's the whole point of it. One question I do want to ask you before we start to head towards the exit here is, if there's anyone in the world you could photograph, one portrait session, who would you want to photograph? I like not giving you any time to think on that one.
Oh God, actually, not being maudlin or anything, it would be my dad. My dad died when I was 17.
Yeah.
He was a para.
Yeah.
Big ass shoulders on him and like jet black hair and stuff, and he always looked like Johnny Cash when I was a kid.
Oh wow.
I think it'd be my dad, and also I'm trying to actually take a picture of the women in my life because they are nails. My mum, Jesus man, you didn't mess with her as a kid. She was she ruled the roost, and that's why I grew up. Do you know, you have men think, women, subordinate. I didn't have that.
Yeah.
My mum was nails. I was just some women were either better or possibly we were nearly up with them.
Yeah.
So I'd like a picture of my mum, my sister, my niece, and my wife.
As like separate photos as a project or all together?
I would like them all in one, but I think getting my mum in front of a camera is going to be a mission and a half.
Yeah. She's not keen.
She might just hate my work, been a bit nice about it. No, darling, I hate your work. But no, in all fairness, I think it would be my dad. Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
And I just particularly like boring answer.
No, we talked about this a couple of days ago. And one of the questions I actually asked to two photographers that were with me was, what's the most important photo that you've ever taken? And both of them start the sentence. And I think everyone I'd ever asked this question to, unless they were a bit odd, would start the sentence almost like the same as, well, it's not going to be a picture of what I normally photograph. It's actually a picture of like my wife or a picture of this or a picture of, and it's always the same thing. It's what the most important photo, it probably isn't the one anywhere near what your normal work is.
Yeah. And there's passion involved in that.
Yes.
And there's passion and there's love.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks well of the photographer if they're not saying, I'd like to shoot Genghis Khan on a horse shooting peasants.
I mean, my answer was...
your dog.
Well, that's a daily thing, to be honest with you. Chica's a daily model. But no, my answer was my mother-in-law, because she passed away a couple of years ago.
Okay, of course.
And there was, it's just a very bizarre situation. Like, I'm still trying to kind of understand this I have this regret of not photographing her during the illness that she went through, which sounds terrible. And I don't know how to qualify this, but I feel like because of the illness, we lost a couple of years of documenting our lives around her.
I think that's right. I think it's a very, very, very British thing to think that it'd be rude to do it. But I think now, looking back at it now, I think you'd probably go, actually, it wasn't rude. It was,
yeah.
But I think, yeah, it's very British.
That's like, if I was allowed one person, and then for some reason I was like, well, Trump, because I just want to see how pissed off people get, was basically the two people I would probably photograph. So where can people find you? Let's get the shout out. So on Instagram, you are...
I'm currently here.
Yes, you are here. They can find you in my house.
Yes. You can stalk me here.
Yes.
Instagram, it's easy. Andrew Clifton-Brown .photography. You type in Andrew Clifton, you're going to find me.
Yep.
And my website is, again, my name.
Yep. And
my Facebook is my name .photography. So it's
easy.
Andrew Clifton-Brown . Yeah, bit of consistency, you know?
Yeah. Are you a fan of the photographers that have the really good light photography name, or
don't you'll set
life
me,
in the shadows?
You'll set me off, and there'll be another 3 hours of me ranting. I just.
I tell you, it's a bold move though. When you're new to something, to call yourself like amazing light photography, that's a bold move.
Oh, I mean, I always look at them and think you must be. Oh no, you're not good.
Yeah.
I always look at one thing I love doing. It's like sport for me now. Is when you see these people basically in Facebook groups just going, you're rubbish, you should do this, you should do that. And I'm thinking, you must have some cojones, mate, to say that, or you're good. And 99%, I go to their website and go, oh, I'm like, my eyes, I can't stop, I can't unsee it. And occasionally you'll get one, you go, no, actually you are that good. You know, but
there's a couple years ago. No, yeah, maybe a couple of years ago. Time flies. A friend of mine posted an image on Facebook. And out of nowhere, this guy who he didn't know, pretty sure was Finnish. Pretty sure this guy was Finnish, but he was Scandinavian in some, I'm sure I've just offended a lot of Norwegians, but he was Scandinavian of some description. And this guy, he didn't know the person posting the photo. I don't know how he found this on Facebook, but he posted like a fairly rude, lengthy critique of why the photo was shit. And the guy's learning. The guy's, you know, he's like we all are.
We've all been there.
Yeah, and it must have been about 2 a.m. I saw this. I was up working, and I go on Facebook before I go. Well, I used to go on Facebook before I go to bed, because you have to check what the world's doing before you can sleep. Apparently,
yeah, I can't sleep because just in case someone's farted or something.
Yeah, in case someone's posted a picture of their dinner. And I checked Facebook, and I saw this unfolding. So I looked at this guy's website, because obviously he links to his own photography. So I have a look at his website. And as opposed to me sending a load of hurtful things back and saying, I just posted screenshots of his images, just one by one. Like, okay, but this one, and then this one, and what were you thinking here? But just post them without comment.
What did he reply?
He deleted his original comment and the whole thing disappeared. I literally won an argument by just showing him his own work. Anyway, it's been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for heading all the way over here, because we are in the middle of nowhere. And is there anything else you'd like to say before we go? I know you're a big Star Wars Trek fan. Anything about that?
No, not really.
Okay. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you.